waters, even forests. They don't know national boundaries. They run across nations. And there he was, very embarrassed, very apologetic that the activities of Ghanaians is jeopardizing the space of another fellow and neighbor country in our region. That's how serious the matter is.
Prof, is your son involved in...
He is not.
What is he involved in with respect to mining?
He is not involved in anything, and the world will get to know very soon.
There are calls for you to resign. Will you resign?
For what purpose?
They say you are failed and you are neck deep in it, allegedly. Will you resign?
No, I've told you. I mean, you're asking me about what we've done so far, and I've given you a run out. Do you think that with this assessment I should resign?
I want to assure him and all of you that Akonta Mining is not engaged in any illegal mining anywhere in Ghana as we speak. Further, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has, through the agency of the Forestry Commission, with the assistance of the military, made the effort to cordon off all 294 sites of forest reserves in the country and rid them of illegal mining as we speak.
Alistair Mathias is a gold trader. He designs money laundering schemes for African leaders.
Next to Swaziland, the king is a close friend of mine. The Zambia president is a close friend of my friend. DRC Congo, the president has invited me several times there to come and build a refinery.
So these can help people like us to get the money clean.
Mr. Stanley leads the I-Unit undercover team. Reporters are posing as gangsters who need to launder $100 million in dirty cash from China.
The Ghana president is a good friend of mine. In fact, he was my lawyer. Like Cyril Ramaphosa here, I know him, I know his kids.
An initial word of advice for our undercover reporter: put Mr. Stanley's money in her name.
The politicians, for example, I buy a lot of stuff in mining on behalf of business. Mr. Stanley trusts you, he can keep things in your name. You have to have someone that you trust as possible. Politicians, they don't have the name owning anything, they always have a proxy that represents them. Pretty much everyone. Even in Russia, they have someone that they trust, that maybe a nephew or a cousin that holds all the assets. Africa, same thing. Someone they trust that runs all the businesses, and they continue being politicians. In Africa, I do government contracts. In Ghana, big tenders, construction of roads, procurement, supplying different things, oil, this, that. There, all the politicians get taken care of indirectly, which is what allows me to do all my other stuff freely.
So the government contracts is the way you reward the politicians, basically.
So what happens? The government will give me a contract. There's a lot of commissions involved. You want a commission, he wants a commission.
Commissions in international world of anti-corruption is basically synonymous with bribery. So when he says commissions, I hear bribes.
The second oldest. See, if you're a politician and you do a contract, you're not going to tell the whole world you're getting 10%. No one can do it. But you trust me, so you say, we'll keep it with you.
Mathias acts as a bank for corrupt leaders.
I earn the commission for that. Then it's a matter of they tell me, okay, pay that, move it here, move that. So for example, Ghana government, Mathias Holding, I get the contract. I subcontract it to you. $100 million contract. Ghana government pays me $100 million. I give it to you, and you say it's $80 million.
The contract is inflated $20 million above its real cost.
I have an agreement with that. When you get proceed, it's gonna be probably 5 million.
Matthias banks the 15 million for the corrupt politicians until they need it.
It's like all of it in one. And wherever they want it, just tell me I said it. That's how I do it.
That is the way in which corruption is facilitated. To create the corrupt funds, the corrupt commission is exactly how it's described. They overpay it and create an extra bunch of money that can be used to pay a politician.
The most important thing for me in Africa is people trust me. All the politicians trust that whatever money I have on theirs is safe. That's the biggest confidence that I have. They trust me because they know that I'll pay their commission.
That's incredible footage. That's incredible footage, it really is. Wow. I'm amazed.
I want to remain focused. I don't want to be drawn into, if you want, the squabbles of the past and this and that. If there are lessons we have to learn out of that era, we should. And there are, I believe there are lessons that I have taken on board. If there are things that went on which were good, which were positive, which we have to adopt, we should do so. But most importantly, we are dealing with the lives and livelihoods of the Ghanaian people. We are dealing with their environment. We are dealing with their forest cover. We are dealing with their river bodies. We are dealing with their survival. And for me, that is a sacred, noble undertaking that I want to discharge in my modest way with other stakeholders, with my officials at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, and several other people who are connected to this fight, for us to be able to make progress. The presidency headed by President Akufo-Addo will not countenance that. The president will not countenance any interference. If there's one person who's been committed to this fight against illegal small-scale mining, it is President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. I've worked with him closely, and I mean closely and closely. And I do know that his commitment to this fight is totally unflinching. And indeed, it will be scandalous, and it will be far-fetched, and it will be impossible for President Akufo-Addo to interfere in the fight against illegal small-scale mining. Indeed, on the contrary, he is the man who's giving me all the courage, who's giving me all the strength, who's giving me all the backing and authority and mandate to go frontal in dealing with this matter. I know the information minister to be a gentleman of honor, and I will never ever in the wildest of my imagination ever come to the suspicion that the information minister will be engaged in an act like that. I'm sure you media people will agree with me, and I think he's a very fine gentleman, decent gentleman, who carries himself very well and does his business with a lot of integrity and candor.
So we agree with a number of things that the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources said, that this Galamsey conversation we're having is not one of rhetoric, of words, and less of action, because it's about lives and livelihood and the survival of the Ghanaian people. Because as they always say, when the last tree dies, the last man dies, and water is life. And this Galamsey menace is threatening the lives of all of us. It's threatening our forest cover, and it's also threatening our water bodies. So it is no more a conversation of rhetoric and less of action. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about this morning. The Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng leaked report has gone through many phases of conversation, and it is still a matter of concern to you, the Ghanaian people. We've seen a purported letter that was alleging that he and the company that belonged to him were alleged to have been involved in illegal mining, with some concessions allocated to it. We have a Shraj report that details how Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng and his company were cleared of all these allegations of illegal mining. We've seen this week as well a petition by Nelson Roxon Dapiamepo to the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ, to look into this matter. This is the only official decision or action that has been taken so far beyond the public conversation and the outcry, the anger that we are expressing about the details we're seeing. So far, it is only Nelson Roxon Dafiamepo's petition to SHRAJ that has moved beyond the public discourse to give effect to the details of this report. The presidency has described this as, at best, mere hearsay, or the expressions of someone who is disgruntled. My guest will be joining me. Do you agree that the details of this is just mere hearsay? Is there enough basis for the presidency to show interest in this matter, especially because of the commitment, as we have heard, and putting his presidency on the line to fight illegal mining? Also, there is this Al Jazeera documentary, which we just played a piece of it, alleging the involvement of the presidency. As a matter of fact, this week, we have seen the presidency write to Al Jazeera to apologize to the government of Ghana and the President of the Republic of Ghana because of that particular broadcast. The many who have called for a national probe into this matter, we will get into it here on Key Point. Also, this week, we have seen the twists and turns of this 8-year case of Gregory Afoko. The accomplice in this case sentenced to death, but Gregory Afoko would have to go through a retrial. This has had many lawyers talking, and the Attorney General and Minister of Justice himself has described this as one of the challenges with our jury system in this country. I have lawyers joining me in studio. We'll have a conversation. These are key issues that are of concern to you, the Ghanaian people, and that's why we have it on Key Point here on TV3. We're also live on 3FM 92.7, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. Welcome to Key Point. I am Alfred Okanse. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. We'll get into the conversation with our guests. Stay with me.
So who will it be? Who will be going to Dubai with me?
Me. Babe, think about all the fun we'll have if you pick me.
I am your father, your school fees payer. You must obey.
Bachaliki, you know they be bros before all those.
Who would you choose?
Your favorite milk is taking you and a special someone to Dubai in the ideal Sochi Started Dubai promo. Just peel, text, and you could win this and other exciting prizes. Design which is FDA approved.
Nestle, good food, good life.
1xBet, reliable bookmaker with high odds, wide selection on events, and bonuses for every taste. 1xBet, easy use, easy win.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet responsibly, not for persons below 18 years.
Really need to think of a way to make some money. You could start a church. Yeah. Something. Or say it's evangelistic ministry.
Consider me because people like us here, we make a bed scream.
you want?
I'm traumatized. There are men and there are men.
What song is that?
Oh, gospel. Like all men are men. Jesus is the man.
It's only 20 minutes past 10.
You know what can happen in 20 minutes? A play can be prepared in 20 minutes. Children can be conceived in 20 minutes.
Guys, I hear that. Was that you?
Are you tired of struggling with bad financial situations? At Quick Credit, we understand the difficulties that come with transitioning to a better one. That's why we're here to simplify the process for you. With loan facilities from 1,500 cedis upwards, all you have to do is call and we will take care of the rest. All you need is your national ID. No savings, no collateral, no susu, no deposits, and no account opening required. Quick Credit has you covered. Whether you're expanding a business, starting a new one, facing an emergency like school fees or funeral expenses, or even just in need of a salary loan. What are you waiting for? Call Quick Credit today. 0302 200 390 or 059 692 0833. We do not give loans via the internet. Quick Credit is regulated and licensed by the Bank of Ghana. Terms and conditions apply. Quick Credit. Lending made simple.
Life doesn't come with a manual. It comes with a mother. This Mother's Day, Sunday, May 14th, give your mama and any other mother figure in your life the gift of quality time as 92.73 FM and TV3 presents a special event for all the amazing mothers out there. Join us for Dining with Mama, an exclusive Mother's Day lunch event in partnership with Tomeric Hotel. Come wine and dine your mom in style at Tomeric Hotel East Legon with a specially curated menu to excite your taste buds and amazing drinks. This event is the perfect opportunity to show your mother just how much you love and appreciate her. Win some prizes while enjoying great live band music, artist performances, and games on Sunday, May 14th at 1 p.m. Rate single 300 Ghana cedis and double 500 Ghana cedis. Tickets available at the front desk of TV3 and at Tomeric Hotel East Legon. For reservations, call 0554 04 9778 or 0501 565638. Dining with Mama, celebrating the unbreakable bond between mothers and their children. This event is powered by TV3 and supported by 3FM 92.7.
For 3 years, I was going up and down looking for a job. During my job hunt, very, very frustrated, I went to visit a cousin of mine. Then during conversation, he mentioned that immigration was looking for accounts officers. Quickly I rushed there, and then I went through the process. I was enlisted, and then I had to start training. Everything went through well, and now here I am. After 3 years of looking for a job, with all the frustration, sometimes I cried. I never thought, in the wildest imagination, that I was going to be the head of finance, a chartered accountant, and the head of the finance department of Ghana Immigration Service.
Watch the inspiring stories, great achievements, and challenges of outstanding women in Ghana.
Ghana Women Award Diaries now shows Saturdays at 5 p.m. on TV3.
The Ghana Women Awards is brought to you by Techno, Stop at Nothing, Tasty Tom.
Thank you for your patronage. I'm super grateful that you make time to watch us every Saturday here on Today's Woman. But this week, she thought she would be a bilingual secretary.
Growing up, I loved languages and I wanted to go into broadcasting actually.
Okay. Little did she know that she would end up doing decor with the help, of course, of her mother.
Every now and then we have people come in and say, look, I have a space. I like nice things, but I don't really know how to put them together. I've had people walk into the shop and say, "Now we cry, dear, you know." When it comes to decor, always try as much as possible to move the things around, the same things in your space.
Anita Okorie is our guest on Today's Woman. She's responsible for all that you see here on the set of Today's Woman. Make a date with me on Saturday, 3 p.m. without fail. This It's Today's Woman, and my name is Cookie T.
Today's Woman, all new season with Cookie T, shows Saturdays at 3 p.m. on TV3. Today's Woman is brought to you by Latex Foam.
It's about to get more sporty, with a touch of super entertainment with your favorite stars.
Times we played the Quitinga, the Chaskele, the football. Who should I take? Funny Cruz? Why?
While keeping you up to date with every trending issue in your world of sports on Warmer Plus.
But in comes Thomas Tuchel and everything changes. And when he said he wanted to be better than me, I was happy.
Let's keep it more sporty and super entertaining.
Warm Up Plus now shows on Saturdays at 11 a.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by Betway.
It's more than spelling, it's more than science and maths. This quiz combines the knowledge of history, music, STEM, sports, and everything in between. Here are your junior and senior sharks.
So the word is dialectic. Correct for 10 points.
Simplify x raised to the power 9 divided by x raised to the power 4.
X raised to the power 5.
That's correct.
Identify the artiste of the song.
It's the day prize, no be today prize.
Here we go.
EO.
No. Incorrect.
It is the command central of the nucleus.
Very good guess.
Join us for another exciting season of the All-Round Quiz Challenge, endorsed by the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service.
Sharks Quiz Season 6 shows on Mondays at 5 p.m., Saturdays at 1 p.m., and Sundays at 10:30 a.m. on TV3.
Focus. I don't want to be drawn into, if you want, the squabbles of the past and this and that. If there are lessons we have to learn out of that era, we should. And there are, I believe there are lessons that I have taken on board. If there are things that went on which were good, which were positive, which we have to adopt, we should do so. But most importantly, we are dealing with the lives and livelihoods of the Ghanaian people. We are dealing with their environment. We are dealing with their forest cover. We are dealing with their river bodies. We are dealing with their survival. And for me, that is a sacred, noble undertaking that I want to discharge in my modest way with other stakeholders, with my officials at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, and several other people who are connected to this fight, for us to be able to make progress. The presidency headed by President Akufo-Addo will not countenance that. The president will not countenance any interference. If there's one person who's been committed to this fight against illegal small-scale mining, it is President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. I've worked with him closely, and I mean closely and closely. And I do know that his commitment to this fight is totally unflinching. And indeed, it will be scandalous, and it will be far-fetched, and it will be impossible for President Akufo-Addo to interfere in the fight against illegal small-scale mining. Indeed, on the contrary, he is the man who is giving me all the courage, who's giving me all the strength, who's giving me all the backing and authority and mandate to go frontal in dealing with this matter. I know the information minister to be a gentleman of honor, and I will never ever in the wildest of my imagination ever come to the suspicion that the information minister will be engaged in an act like that. I'm sure you media people will agree with me, and I think he's a very fine gentleman, decent gentleman, who carries himself very well and does his business with a lot of integrity and candor.
The of the Forestry Commission, with the assistance of the military, made the effort to cordon off all 294 sites of forest reserves in the country and rid them of illegal mining as we speak.
Alistair Matthias is a gold trader. He designs money laundering schemes for African leaders.
Next door, Swaziland, the king is a close friend of mine. The Zambia president is a close friend of my friend. DRC Congo, the president has invited me several times there to come and build a refinery.
So these can help people like us to get money clean.
Mr. Stanley leads the I-Unit undercover team. Reporters are posing as gangsters who need to launder $100 million in dirty cash from China.
The Ghana president is a good friend of mine. In fact, he was my lawyer. Like Cyril Ramaphosa here, I know him, I know his kids.
An initial word of advice for our undercover reporter: put Mr. Stanley's money in her name.
Do it with the politicians. For example, I buy a lot of stuff in mining on behalf of politicians. Mr. Stanley trusts you, he can keep things in your name. You have to have someone that you trust as possible. The politicians, they don't have the name owning anything, they always have a proxy that represents them. Pretty much everyone. Even in Russia, they have someone that they trust, that maybe a nephew or a cousin that holds all the messages. Africa, same thing. Someone they trust that runs all the businesses, and they continue being politicians. In Africa, I do government contracts. In Ghana, big tenders, construction of roads, procurement, supplying different things, oil, this, that. There, all the politicians get taken care of indirectly, which is what allows me to do all my other stuff freely.
So the government contracts is the way you reward the politicians, basically.
So what happens, the government will give me a contract. There's a lot of commissions involved. You want a commission, he wants a commission.
Commissions in international laws of anti-corruption is basically synonymous with bribery. So when he says commissions, I hear bribes.
I was the second oldest. See, if you're a politician and you do a contract, you're not going to tell the whole world you're getting 10%. No one can do it. But you trust me, so you say, we'll keep it with you.
Matthias acts as a bank for corrupt leaders.
I earn the commission for that. Then it's a matter of they tell me, okay, pay that, move it here, move there.
Well, this is an issue that we will definitely get into, especially because of the reactions we've seen this week. The presidency writing to Al Jazeera and raising a number of concerns. It's one of the key issues here on Key Point TV3. Let me welcome my guests. Martin Kpebu is private legal practitioner. He is leader of one of three individual bondholder groups, the convener of the Komiprekurilo, the demonstration. Mr. Martin Kpebu, good morning, welcome.
Thank you, Alfred.
Great. Also, Sami Gyamfi is National Communications Officer of the National Democratic Congress, NDC. Mr. Gyamfi, good morning, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Great. And Nikwa Titus Glover, former Deputy Transport Minister, is going to be joining us in a bit. But a number of developments. Let me start off with you, Mr. Kpebu. After last week, we had not received any official communication from the presidency the last time we had this conversation here. But after that, we've seen this communication from the presidency on this, and we're going to put that on the screen shortly. That statement from the presidency on Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng's leaked 36-page report. In summary, they raise a number of things. One, that this report was not laid properly or as it were, communicated to the Chief of Staff through the proper channels. That's number one. And then also essentially describes this as mere hearsay. And then also the expressions of someone with personal grievances. And in fact, take a look at this. These are the details. Indeed, it says The allegations contained in the document are at best hearsay. It is instructive that since Professor Frimpong Boateng's meeting with the Chief of Staff in March 2021, he has taken no step nor acted in furtherance of the matters contained in the document. So, and then also, it goes on, says that it can only be rightly referred to as a catalogue of personal grievances and claims made by Professor Frimpong Boateng intended to respond to some issues he faced as chairperson of the IMCIM. The document did not have a transmittal or cover letter, nor indeed an addressee, such as to suggest that it was submitted to the Chief of Staff for action. It is not worthy that the IMCIM was a creature of Cabinet, and any formal report on its activities would normally be submitted to Cabinet through the Cabinet Secretary or directly to the President of the Republic as chairperson of Cabinet. Till date, Professor Frimpong Boateng has done neither. Okay, so this is what the presidency's statement essentially says. Nikwa Titus Glover is joining us. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Afi. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
I really had a difficulty coming this morning, but as a soldier, it's a call, so we have to respond.
Indeed, indeed. What was the difficulty?
It's up and downs, and I had a lot on my plate. So,
but it's good to have you.
And good morning to
Great.
Sammy and
Oh, Martin is sufficient. Your
So-
president has made the economy hard. Me, I'm hungry. That's the thing we have to talk about.
You don't stop attacking the president.
I'm not attacking him. He's making life difficult. We are hungry.
So let's start with it. Lawyer. So one part of the statement. Let's stick to the statement. I'll come to you on it.
Mr. Kasi, it's important. We are hungry.
We will talk
See
about
the
that.
price of
Indeed.
yam, rice,
Yeah,
everything.
please, yam, how much is yam?
Okay.
It's about 30 Ghana per tuber, and we are doing this.
The communication from the presidency talks about Professor Frimpong Boateng not taking any action afterwards. In a situation like this, the burden of taking action, who is it on? Is it on the man who chaired this and put together the report, or the person who the report is submitted to?
Okay.
After something like this.
Great. So, Mr. Kasi, one more sentence on the cost of living before we go on. Charlie, the way we are not discussing enough the high cost of living, it's not good though. Look, we are suffering. We are suffering. Did you see earlier in the week, just one, there's a tomato for 3 Ghana cedis. Tomato, 3 Ghana, did you see it going round? And then there's another one, 3 small tomatoes for 5 Ghana cedis. Tube of yam, over 30 Ghana. Why? Pepso then crack a cake just to brush your teeth, 20 Ghana. What is this? Is this what we voted for? And every time we come and talk about the high topics, meanwhile our stomachs are empty. You meet people, say, lawyer, look, for how long can we endure this crisis, cost of living crisis? Mr. Glover, when President Kufuor promised us milk and honey, today he's the only one enjoying with data bank money from the bonds, and millions of our citizens are dying, and he's enjoying. Is that democracy or just personal aggrandizement? Let's talk more about this. This thing has to stop. Look, he has to just get down, because President Kufuor is showing that this thing, he's up to no good. He just came to enrich his family through data bank. He just has to go. And Ghanaians, look, I think it's high time you got out. Because Sundays, you go and fill the churches, you are busy praying, the battle is the Lord. What battle is the Lord? When the man is here just making his family rich and you are in church praying. What prayer? And then I'm a Catholic. Look, I beg the Catholic Bishops' Conference. When Rawlings was in power in the early days of the PNDC, it was the Catholic Bishops' Conference that standard. You led a crusade for governance and everything. Today, the bishops are quiet, and the other churches. You have to come together, because Sundays, you have the biggest masses in the churches. You are preaching. But I'm not saying that, look, let's come out on the streets and force President Kufuor to do the needful, or he should just go. The bishops can't continue to just preach. Reverend Martin Luther King was not just preaching in church. He was leading demonstrations like our own bishops did in the 80s. So how come today we are just quiet and talking only in churches? Okay. Anyway.
But just to put it on record, at least the Catholic Bishops' Conference and others have actually come out in time past to talk about the cost of living. So you're asking that they come out
Let's
again.
do more.
Okay.
Let's go out,
Thank
demonstrate.
you.
Because, look, Mampam hasn't heard, or President Kufuor Mampam. He hasn't heard. He hasn't heard. It's when you hit the streets, the masses, then the pictures will be shown to him. But if you preach in your various churches...
So it is, I think you make the point and not the characterization doesn't add any additional emphasis to it.
Mampam, you know the Mampam, that he doesn't hear. That's what see.
Okay.
We can't take this anymore. It's a democracy. It's not, this, what do you call it, a monarchy.
Okay, point well made.
Okay. Yeah, so the thing, what you're saying, what you've referred to, that is personal grievances, all those things. I read it and I was like, wow, the journalist who wrote that from the presidency? You can just see that they were clutching at straws. Straws. A man is brought you a report, and I told you, just like we've been saying last week, that's the character, the modus operandi of the president and his staff at the presidency. You see evidence, and you are busy saying that there's no transmitter letter. We don't do that in court. We don't do that in court. No. Lawyers will tell you that, listen, there's a rule that when something is void, no matter how it comes to the attention of the court will strike it out. So sometimes when the thing is that bad, it's not that much about procedure. It's not that much about procedure. When the thing is bad, when it's void, then no matter how it comes to the attention of the court strikes it out. That's how we do. So we deal with substance. So in one phrase, it has to be substance over form. Look, you go into accounting, they'll teach you substance over form. You come to law, they'll teach you substance over form. Many other spheres of life, you hear substance over form. So this thing about there's no transmitter letter, what the heck? Was he not the one who was saying that the 18 Akufo-Addo promises that I will use the Anas principle? I will use the Anas principle. And somebody brings you evidence, no mean a person than a professor, your own former Minister of Environment, Science, Innovation, Technology and Innovation. Then you sit down and say, there's no transmission letter. So is the transmission letter more important than that personal meeting with the Chief of Staff? I told you that's the same thing this Chief of Staff, the President and Bawumia did when the NDA matter came up. Dr. Namzoya reported that, hey, public officers were about to steal money. They just put it somewhere, shelved it. You see, this lackadaisical attitude, they are not working, sleeping on the job, sleeping on the job. Just sleeping. We say go and lead us well, then you are misleading by just making your family rich. This type of governance, what type of governance is it? Such a shame. After climbing the high moral horse, every president who came before President Kufuor was a thief. Every president was corrupt, except him. Now he's coming. He's even the one we've caught easily through data bank. Sometimes I look at it and I was like, wow, nature is something, Is that karma on steroids? That he insulted everybody who came before him. And this evidence has been presented before you. And you're saying transmitter letter.
You say, how did the president steal through data bank?
They made the money, the commissions and fees data bank made on the bonds. It's illegal because here Kufuor said if you want to make money, go to the private sector.
So I've asked this because data bank is an entity.
Yes.
And their participation in the bonds, you say that the money they made was illegal.
Yes.
What do you mean?
Yes, so because data bank is largely owned by Ofori-Atta, yes, I understand he's now making changes or made changes to the shareholding, but I'm talking about the time the bonds were issued. He still held the shares, at least.
So what was the illegality in there?
President Kufuor himself, on the day he was sworn in, he said that if you want to make money, go to the private sector.
I'm asking what the illegality is.
So the illegality is that's Ofori-Atta is brother to Kufuor, and the bonds are issued by government of Ghana, and the finance minister is in charge.
So how does it amount to stealing?
Yes, the finance minister is in charge of issuing the bonds. So there's conflict of interest. You give your own company. There are 3 companies with primary dealers. Data Bank, EcoBank, and another entity, right? So they are primary dealers. So when the bonds are issued, then they become wholesalers.
So I just want to establish the statement you made. What do you mean by the president stealing through data bank. Other than that, we cannot obviously support or countenance this. I'm just saying that for us, we cannot associate ourselves with that statement.
Excellent. So
but I want to understand, what do you mean by that?
Yes, I said, look, the relationship is that, look, it's their company, his brother's company. And when the brother makes the wealth, where is he going? He's not going to Akufo-Addo's family. So that relationship, very, very close relationship, he himself said, look, there's no place for conflict of interest.
The stealing there. What do you mean?
I said illegal. Yes. So, listen, there were, good. In the previous administration, there were several more companies, okay, that were primary dealers, a lot more. So when they came, then they cut down to 3, with Data Bank leading the pack. So Data Bank, Edubuain's company later, and then the EcoBank. No, okay, Edubuain's company came later, but I'm talking about from the beginning. Remember the Kembon time, the one that went to Shraj and the rest. And the fact that, listen, Shraj said he didn't find a conflict on the first one alone doesn't close the argument. Let's be very careful. Even sometimes a case goes to court, we all know. The court decides one way or it doesn't mean that the court got it right, but well, that's a democracy. We just live with it. But we all know in our hearts that this decision is no decision. But well, it's the price you pay for living in a democracy, rule of law. So that's the point. So the Kembon matter, Shraj may have said he didn't see conflict of interest, but we, most of us in our hearts, we see it. Well,
okay. Is this something that you are convinced to pursue beyond this? That's Lawyer Martin Kpebu. Beyond this, for instance, to test the law on this particular issue
yes.
of this conflict of interest, because you've been consistent about
yes.
it. So
it's so nauseating, very nauseating.
If you elevate the
yes.
Advocacy,
yes, yes,
are you minded to, for instance, test this in the court of law?
We are definitely going.
You're going to go to court.
We'll go, but like I mentioned the last time, what we're waiting for is that, say, in how many months more? Less than 20 months. Or thereabout, President Akufo-Addo will be going to Foforiata. Then that's the time. We want them to be out of government, then we will go to court. As for that money, they will vomit it. We will take this money back. The money Data Bank made from their bonds, we will take it back. Not here in Ghana. Are we fools that you come and promise that, oh, you are the philosopher king, incorruptible leader. I am not corrupt. I am not corrupt. Then we vote for you and then glaring so brazenly, very nauseating, in broad daylight, then you put Data Bank there, and they're making hundreds of millions of dollars from our bonds. Now, today, our people are dying. Today, people can't buy drugs. Today, people are starving. Today, people can't pay rent. And you have become richer. Oh, no. We will take that money back as long as we live. So, the point, back to the thing, you said the statement. So, I'm saying that we're just clutching at straw. For us in law, what we operate is that, look, when the thing is so bad, like what Frimpong Boateng presented to the chief of staff, it doesn't matter that there was no transmitter letter. It doesn't matter that there was no separate report to cabinet. The most important is that did he present a document? Was he worthy? Do you see that when he responded to Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, they referred to the Joy FM documentary. Joy FM played it earlier in the week. You see the one that involved allegations against Kojo Oppong Nkrumah and his Chinese men. There's a documentary. I watched it. The Mansour, Forest Matter, and the other ones. So Frimpong Boateng provided evidence. The evidence was out there already. So when he came and said he didn't do anything, so was President Akufo-Addo, what was he thinking at the time he said he will use the ANAS principle? What was he thinking at the time he said he will use the ANAS principle? So a professor brings you these allegations. Hey, if a very renowned, not just book, but through his practice in the hospital, such a successful professor, medicine, everything, he brings you an allegation and you think that you cannot do any investigations beyond that, then I don't know if the layman were to bring some, you won't. No wonder when Anamzoya wrote a letter about the NDA matter, they shelved it. I don't know what kind of evidence, whether he expressed that you should bring a picture of the person actually stealing or what. So that's his modus operandi, that everything, once he reads it on paper, it is no evidence. But you have to read and then you make a follow-up. You make a follow-up. So that response from the presidency is hogwash. Hogwash. We shouldn't do that. It's a waste of the taxpayers' money. That time and everything, the resources they use in writing such a letter, it's a waste of our money. Don't write that next time. You live in a democracy. You said it. You use the ANAS principle. And the ANAS principle is that, look, usually what will happen? They will go and do private investigation. So once allegations have been made, you see, we are 30 million people. From Boati didn't make allegations against even, let's say, 200 people. There are few people. So you see that there will be some basis for those allegations. So that should trigger the Anas principle, where the president should be interested in doing his private investigations. So can say, let's repeat this. If a professor, your own minister, that you found worthy to appoint him as a minister, brings you allegations, and you think they are not worth investigation, then Master, look, let's close shop and go. We are doomed, totally doomed. This, what do you call it? In law, we call it today, I have to use a bit of law, approbate and reprobate. Today, you say you are using an Anas principle. Then when push comes to shove, no, it's nothing. You want, they should catch the thieves and bring them, catch them, or have a picture showing that the person is actually stealing. But even this one, from Boati, there's a documentary. So what is it? When Frimpong Boati presented the report, did they go through? Do you see that the Joy FM, there's a documentary. You see the Chinese, you see the soldiers, you see the army uniform, and their names of the military who were providing assistance to these galamseyers. And the other ones, Imperial. Look at how Imperial destroyed the forest without any Imperial heritage. Gabi Ochridako's client. Look at how they destroyed the forest. There are pictures. There are pictures. Wasn't there forest destruction? Wasn't there forest destruction? So how can you say he didn't present any evidence? Such hogwash.
In fact, it is on the back of that I'll bring in Nick Titus Glover. But let me just say that in the report, the aspect of the report that makes reference to Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, lawyer, has to do with a purported call that Professor Frimpong Boati said that someone called him in telling him about a certain meeting that Kojo Oppong Nkrumah is alleged to have convened with some NPP and NDC journalists at a hotel somewhere in Dodowa. Now, he has come out to say that meeting was not about Professor Frimpong Boati, but about Prem Park and the Bank of Ghana. That's training for some journalists. Professor Frimpong Boati has responded, but again, to Kojo Oppong Nkrumah's response to this particular leak, also giving him advice and so on and so forth. But that's just to put it in perspective.
Yes, thank you. I'm talking about the documentary.
Indeed.
The documentary.
Indeed. In fact, we have pictures of that. I just want to reiterate the point that some of the issues or statements you made earlier, we cannot associate ourselves with it as a station. So we disassociate ourselves from that. But Nikwate Titus Glover, why would the presidency, and I ask you this because you are a member of this party and one-time former minister, the summary dismissal of this report as mere hearsay and the expressions of someone who has some personal grudges, couldn't the presidency have instituted some form of investigation into this matter, considering the president's own, the verbal commitments that we have seen putting his presidency on the line? And then also the pictures that Professor Frimpong Boati attached to the report that he sent to the Chief of Staff. Was that not enough basis for the presidency to have moved in there? And I played a clip earlier, the description that that's the president himself gives to Professor Frimpong Boati as a man of integrity when he was talking, and that same platform that he said he was putting his presidency on the line. We have some of the pictures that Professor Frimpong Boati attached to this report. Let's put that on the screen right now. Some of the pictures of the sites. This is it. Okay, these are the pictures he attached to the report to give evidence beyond what he was saying about what was happening in the forest reserve. Was this not enough for the presidency to have instituted some form of action into the details of this report?
Afi, thank you very much. And once again, good morning to your viewers and Sami and Lawyer Kpebu. Sitting down and listening to Lawyer Kpebu and his incessant attacks on the president, calling him a thief or stolen, and that matter, it makes me jittery, and to find out whether Martin is not a frustrated, disappointed lawyer who is going agog, and somebody who cannot manage his own life.
Okay,
please,
hold on a bit for
please.
Okay,
please,
listen,
please.
I
said please.
Afi, hold on. Let me make the point. Let me listen.
Use all kinds of words to attack the president. Why are you asking me to do that?
Listen.
What is this? You asked me to prove. And you saw how he was going around?
Good. So to the extent
that...
Wait. Listen to me.
Let me deal with him.
No. Listen.
Why?
Listen. To the extent that I asked questions and you saw clearly that, as you were saying, he was not able to.
I was not able to. Hey, data bank made that money.
When you were talking, I was quiet. So please.
The expression about the president...
When you were talking, I was quiet.
The president...
Alfred...
Sorry.
Listen.
Did I use the word?
Listen. Gentlemen, hold on. Now, Nikwa Tetitus Glover, I would not... Nikwa, hold on.
Money, and you prefer to use
Lawyer Martin Kwebu, hold on. Nikwa Tetitus Glover, I want us to stay on the subject because...
I will not stay on the subject until I respond. His attacks and insults.
Hold on.
He's a thief. He has stolen.
Please.
When he pushed you, then you ran away. When you use the word he has stolen. Please, did you see him stealing money?
Illegal money. Data bank is there.
Did you see him stealing money?
Is there clear?
This show will not finish the show.
Listen.
This show will not finish the show.
You can respond.
Somebody who is frustrated and disappointed lawyer who cannot manage his life, his family, his law firm, he goes a court and he saw the president, and you expect me to sit down and watch him?
Listen.
Are we joking?
Listen. You can respond to him.
I'm responding to him.
Not attacking his person.
I earn my own living.
He's not attacking the president.
You live on our taxes, Mr. Glover.
He's not attacking the president.
You can't even talk like that.
Please, if you don't want, let's get up on the show and go. I will respond to him.
Mr. Glover, you are not even allowed to talk.
When you were talking, I was quiet. When you were talking, I was quiet. So keep quiet and listen to me.
It's my tax.
You can't sit down there and be throwing tantrums, attacking the president.
It's my taxes that I use in paying you.
Is that what you're saying?
But I'm in private.
Did you see him stealing money?
It's my taxes that I use in paying you. So
stealing money. If you are a disappointed lawyer somewhere,
you have to be courteous, Mr. Glover.
Go and manage your life.
Okay. You have to be courteous.
What do you mean?
It's our taxes we use in paying you. You can't be arrogant.
Ask him.
Lawyer,
please. Please manage your life and your family. Please don't come and going disappointed and going all over. Do you win all cases? Do you win all cases in court? I said, do you win all cases in court? Such a disappointed lawyer.
Hold on. Let's take.
We composed a cabinet of very responsible Ghanaians, headed by a very renowned, eminent figure in our country, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng. And they are the ones who then designed a program for us of what we needed to do to try and arrest the menace and preserve our heritage. In the course of it, Professor Frimpong Boateng goes on to a meeting, a conference in Abidjan, and there the Ivorian leaders tell him, you people are not helping us. This illegal mining that is taking place in Ghana is beginning to affect us, our water bodies and our space in Côte d'Ivoire. Rivers, waters, even forests, they don't know national boundaries. They run across nations. And there he was, very embarrassed, very apologetic that the activities of Ghanaians is jeopardizing the space of a fellow and neighbor country in our region. That's how serious the matter is.
The seriousness of this matter cannot be left with just mere rhetoric. Nikwa Titus Glover, honor to speak to the issues. Let's go ahead. Thank you.
Alfred, thank you very much, and apologies to your viewers. But let me say that I'm a strong believer of those who are in the position to speak against Galamsey. Coming from the coast, and when you look at the level of devastations in these forest regions, speaks volumes. The water bodies have been polluted. All kinds of chemicals, cyanides, and other things have been used in these water bodies, and human beings are drinking this water to the detriment of their lives. The vegetations are gone, and to sit on national television to say that I will support such a cause in terms of the devastation, I will not. And I'll repeat and say that Galamsey is worse than armed robbery. Galamsey is worse than a civil war. So if, because of greed and personal aggrandizement, where you want to enrich yourself to the detriment of the very people around these areas where this devastation is going on, then you must bury your head in shame. I have read the report of Professor Frimpong Boateng. He attached some graphics, pictorial evidence. We are seeing all over on your screens. I think that is strong enough for any investigation to begin on the matter. One of the striking areas that I'm so happy about, it's a clarity that he tried to explain. And Samir is good at some of these things when it comes to particularly about the missing excavators. On page 30 of the report, according to Professor Frimpong Boateng, he went for a program on joy and hosted by Kojo Yangsi, my brother. And a caller called to complain about missing excavators, about 500. And according to Professor Frimpong Boateng, he said he had no clue because the minister then for land and forestry, my senior Honorable Mewu, was then in charge. So he cannot speak to it. But the caller and Kojo Yangsi were not happy about the responses they gave according to the report captured at page 30. Then subsequently he went on to say that when Honorable Mewu was vetted in Parliament, that question was put before him. And he said him, Amewu, never ever seized any 500 excavators, not even one. So the question is, where is this 500 coming from? But so far as he was in charge at the Interministerial Task Force, whatever they seized, they've been able to account for them. Because at the time, there were no low beds. Because when you look at where these excavators were in the thick of the forest, you can't even have access to put them out, let alone get these flat trucks to put them on and bring them to the district capitals or the assemblies for all that. So that is one area that I want us to deal with it, because that was a manufacture from the opposition that 500 excavators are flown, and for that matter, it cannot be accounted for. But in his report, he did make emphasis on that. Personally, he has not seized any 500 excavators. It was then Honorable Mewu, who was the lands minister at the time. And according to Honorable Mewu, not even one excavator was. So where is this matter also coming from? Now, when you go on further to the report, he also made mention of the president's residence, close to his residence, where some Galamsey was going on. And I have been with the president for a long time, and I know his residence in Chibi and the very area people that lives around his neighborhood. And as to how an excavation or Galamsey can go on, because his home and the surroundings are security zone. So I wonder who can muster that courage to go around his house, to go and do galamsey. And I see that a bit on the low side when it comes to reporting in that angle.
Okay,
but
on that particular point.
But to say the least, I want to say that the evidence are strong enough. Evidence are strong enough for the police to carry out their investigations. I'm in full support because as we speak now, the president has referred the matter to the CID, and the CID are doing the investigations. I want to appeal to them to speed up in the investigations, because those who are involved, when you look at the level of destruction, I cannot sleep when I look at this destruction on the environment and all that. So clearly, I think that the referral has been made by the president to make sure that the CID of the Ghana Police Service should deal with this matter expeditiously, so that we'll come to a finality of this matter. Fighting galamsey, I keep saying it, Avi, it is not one-man business. It is not one-man business. It involves all of us. Because galamsey does not start from President Akufo-Addo's era. It has started way back in ages. Government have come and gone, But the commitment in fighting the galamsey is so huge. I can say that under President Akufo-Addo, yes, things are very rough, but he has not reneged in his commitment in the fight against the work of galamsey. He continued to do his best. Some few security agencies, when they go, sometimes you hear that some extortion of monies are being taken from galamseyers and all that. But we cannot say that the support we've had from the security services, i.e. the army and the police, have not done their best. You look at the commitment government has made. I mean, speedboats, trained guards, and crashers, machines that will make them to move away from the water bodies and use these machines to crash these stones or sand in order to get the gold out of it. Government is doing all this, but still there are people who are bent on destroying the good intentions of the president. So I think that yes, it's a work in progress. The work is ongoing. Everybody must put a shoulder behind the wheel to support the president to deal with that, and come to those who are from the party and who are dealing with these things. I will urge that some seriousness must be taken to it, and make sure we do the needful, because it's about Ghana and not about me and not about one individual. Let us see ourselves as one nation, and the destruction that is going on is beyond imagination. Thank you very much.
You see, so that aspect of the report, and I'll come to you, Mr. Jemfi, but let me stay with the global, Mr. Titus Glover a bit. That aspect of the report about the happenings around the president's house in Chebe, we have that portion, as far as page 29 of the report. We'll put that on the screen shortly. He mentions a certain name, one Eric Entry.
Yeah.
Beyond busing journalists to the place to go and see a place that has been, according to Professor Pomboatin's report, they had to send a bulldozer. The bulldozer to the house or the area to go and, as it were, revegetate the land after he got this call. Beyond this, taking journalists there, this Eric Entry is described as an employee of the office of the president. Would you urge the presidency or call on the presidency to identify this Eric Entry for him to also speak and confirm otherwise whether he actually called Professor Frimpong Boateng to tell him that there's something of this sort happening? It is on the basis of that call that he even moved the excavators there. Let's put that on the screen.
I know
specificity. Please, let's take a look at this. The impunity in the Eastern region is exemplified by near unbelievable activity in Chebe. I had a telephone call from Mr. Eric Entry of the office of the president, and he narrated that the youth organizer of the MPP in Chebe was excavating for gold in a field close to the house of the president of the republic. He goes on to say that when we checked, it was true. Indeed, part of the garden of the president had been affected. Apparently, the president did not know about this. We quickly dispatched a bulldozer and an excavator to the area to reclaim the land and vegetate it.
Afi, I told you that I know the president's house too well. And when your cameras went round, you can see around the fenced residence. There are neighbors around it. And I wonder how a Galamsey can have that courage and boldness to dig to the extent that it can enter. You see the height of the fence wall. Can dig like a some move anything. Bush kusi. That it can dig and enter the compound of the president, and for Professor Frimpong Boateng to go with an excavator to go and bulldozer. I can't fathom this explanation by Professor Frimpong Boateng. Therefore, like you said, Eric Entry, who supposedly called Prof to give him the information, can help us. Because looking at the house as a security zone, I wonder if anybody can have that courage to go and excavate and dig and get into the compound of the president. And use their securities around all the time, 24/7. I watch on social media an elderly person who happens to be a relative of the president. Say, I have lived in their house. There is nothing like that has happened. Nothing like that. Apart from entry, you people should go to town. I saw one of the chiefs on social media talking. And look, no Galamsey has ever happened in the compound around the neighborhood close to the president's residence. So I don't know where these things is coming from.
No, but what were you expecting the journalists to see after almost 3 years after the place was revegetated?
But there are people who live in the neighborhood.
As you took the cameras and the people
Galamsey
there, what you expecting
is
them
open.
to see?
You can't hide it. Galamsey is open. Why is it only Eric who saw it? And the rest of the people, including the security agencies, who lives in the house. And taking security of the house, not only inside the house, you go around it. It's possible that there will be even cameras around.
So Eric Entry is alive.
He's described so we can find out from him.
As an employee of the office of the president.
I am totally lost of that portion of the report by Professor Frimpong Boateng.
Mr. Gyamfi, now this is the position that the presidency has communicated so far in this particular, that's the letter or the response that they put out, that it can only be best described as mere hearsay or the expressions of someone with some personal, as it were, concerns. But with the evidence that we have shown, which is, as a matter of fact, attached to the report, we got the pictures we showed earlier of these forest reserves that have been destroyed by illegal mining, were attached to Professor Frimpong Boateng's report. Could an action have been taken beyond the description that the presidency gives to this report? Mr. Gyamfi.
A very good morning to our cherished viewers and my senior brothers in the studio. I'll comment on the Galamsey matter. And let me indicate that this is the first time I've heard an MPP communicator sound a bit patriotic on the issue of Galamsey, and I must comment my senior brother Titus Glover on that matter. But before I deal with Galamsey, there have been some preliminary issues that I want to quickly touch on in the next 2-3 minutes, and now zoom in on the Galamsey issues. I think Mr. Pebu has made a very important point that as politicians, as Ghanaians, as media networks, we should consider. And it has to do with the level of excruciating hardships in the country and the fact that we are not discussing that enough. You see, Alfred, there are people watching us today who are making no meaning out of what we are discussing here this morning because they don't know where the next meal will come from. And the astronomical jump in the prices of basic commodities on the market is the daily reality of our people. And I think we should find time or create the time to discuss this issue. And I really commend Lawyer Martin Pebu for raising that point. You see, Today, a bag of cement that used to sell at 27 Ghana cedis under President Mahama in 2016 is selling in Accra at almost 100 Ghana cedis. We are not saying that prices should be static or prices should go down. But look at the astronomical jump from 27 Ghana cedis, right, to almost 100 Ghana cedis. Common pure water, the bag that we used to buy at 1 cedi 50 pesos in 2016, today is selling for 11 Ghana cedis in Accra. A bag of maize, the big size, that used to sell at 170 Ghana cedis in 2016, is today selling at 900 Ghana cedis in Accra. A tin of Milo that used to sell at 17 Ghana cedis in 2016 is today selling at almost 40 Ghana cedis in Accra. 5 kg Gino rice, 5 kg Gino rice that used to sell at 25 Ghana cedis in 2016 is today selling at a whopping 185 Ghana cedis. Can you believe it? 25 cedis to 185 cedis. Lele rice, which used to sell at 18 Ghana cedis, today is selling at 170 Ghana cedis. Here I'm talking about the 5 kg. Cindy rice, it used to sell at 10 Ghana cedis. Today it is selling at 141 Ghana cedis. 10 cedis to 141. Millicent rice, 5 kg, 7 Ghana cedis in 2016. Today 120 Ghana cedis. Even common sanitary pad. Yeah, sanitary pad. How much was it selling in 2016? 2 cedis 50 pesos. Today is 20 Ghana.
And even
always
before
ultra.
The crisis started, it was 10 cedis.
Yes,
cedis,
always ultra. 4 Ghana cedis in 2016. Today 25 Ghana cedis. So the young ladies watching us, the women watching us, want to hear and see us discussing these issues which border on their very existence. This is the economy for them. So it's important we talk about that.
Indeed.
Number 2, I'm very shocked today about the reaction of my senior brother, Titus Glover, who I admire so much, okay, relative to comments that lawyer Martin Pegbu has made on this platform. Okay. If somebody had told me that a day will come that an MPP communicator, not least Honorable Titus Glover, will fight somebody on TV for calling out the president, a president of Ghana, for making money illegally, I wouldn't have believed it. No, hold on. Alfred, it's important that we straighten these records. Then another Danko Akufo-Addo Titus Glover is defending today is the one who called President Mahama a thief and said he had used $10 million to print presidential diaries. He didn't provide any evidence and has not provided any evidence to date. Then another Danko Akufo-Addo Titus Glover is defending today is the one who, without a scintilla of evidence, said that President Mahama had inflated the cost of the Ridge Hospital, the Kumasi Airport project, and other projects.
Say that again.
By calling him a thief for inflating the cost of projects without any evidence. Asla also called Mahama a thief. Google it. Google Mahama is a thief. MPP communicators. I'm sure you may even see comments from persons close to Titus Glover or Titus Glover himself. And today, what is Martin Pegbu's crime? No, Alfred, I said I'll do this in 3 minutes. Let me land.
Let me establish this.
Yes, let me land.
Those comments were not made on this show.
My brother.
I'm coming. Those comments were not made on this platform.
No, but we are not here discussing only issue.
I'm coming. I just want to establish the fact that this issue came up. We have, as it were, addressed it.
Nobody is saying you have not addressed it. We are not talking about TV3 or Media General here. No, hold on.
So
Alfred,
I want you to just
can
make
you
the
allow
point
me to just wrap up and come to the Galamsey matter? Nobody is discussing TV3 here. There is a co-panelist on the show who has taken umbrage or is pretending to take umbrage to comments that Martin Pegbu has made about the president, which are facts. And here, I think TV3, you have been very unfair to Mr. Martin Pegbu. And you owe him a retraction and an apology. That you will say that you are dissociating.
Yes,
Alfred, it is either you allow me to talk or you not allow me to talk. Let me make my point. Forget about what people are telling you in that earpiece in your ear and allow me to make my point. Allow me to make my point. You sat here and Titus Glover said that Martin Pegbu has not managed his law firm well. He's failed in life. Let me tell you something. I am a lawyer.
We did not allow that to go on.
But can I make a point? Can I make a point? Yes. At least listen to what I have to say. If Martin Pegbu stops practicing law in Ghana today, the children of the next generation will still come and read about his invaluable contributions to, if for nothing at all, our criminal legal justice system in Ghana. Mr. Glover, it is because of the man sitting here, who you are calling names, that today there are no unbailable offenses in Ghana. Go and read Martin Kpebu versus Attorney General number 2. He has paid his dues. What he is talking about is a fact. President Akufo-Addo promised not to run a family and friends government.
Excellent.
Yet he has made his cousin the finance minister, who has collapsed the economy. This finance minister has so much borrowed that today Ghana has been landed in an unsustainable debt position where we can't service our own debts. And even pensioners and bondholders cannot have access to their coupons and their investments. And the reason why we are here is because anytime he borrowed on the capital market, his company, which he funded, which he is still a shareholder of, benefited from those Eurobonds.
Data bank. And
he benefited from it.
Times.
And if Ken Ofori-Atta makes money, you are telling me that his cousin will not benefit from it. So please, let's talk. You see, I would have had no qualms about what my senior brother Titus Glover said. If he had said, look, Mr. Kpebu, what you're saying is not true. Data Bank has not benefited anything illegally from Ghana bonds. Akufo-Addo has not benefited any monies illegally from our bonds. These are the facts. So what you are saying are bare-faced lie. But to insult the person and say he has not lived a good life, he has messed up his life. This man, who because of him we don't have unbailable offenses in Ghana today. Hey, babe. Let's come to Galamsey. Let's come to Galamsey. Let's come to Galamsey. Look. The Frimpong Boateng report is the obituary of Nana Addo's fraudulent fight against Galamsey. You know why I'm saying so? Because it is this report which has settled the issue of whether or not President Akufo-Addo is committed to the fight against Galamsey once and for all. Because any reasonable, objective mind who reads that report, 37-page report, authored by the German-trained cardiothoracic surgeon, former Minister for Environment and Science, and chairman of the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining, will come to the inevitable conclusion that Nana Addo's proclaimed fight against Galamsey was a sham, it was a scam, it was a charade, and that the real intention behind that proclaimed fight, as some of us have always maintained, is that he just wanted to kick out legal Ghanaian small-scale miners from the mining industry and help his government and party functionaries to take over the illicit Galamsey menace with their Chinese and other foreign collaborators. And nothing more. That is what the Frimpong Boateng report shows. And that is why our brothers are jumping over themselves very desperately to discredit the report, discredit Frimpong Boateng, including insulting him and calling him names. Of course, Honorable Titus Glover has not done that. He sounded a bit patriotic on the matter, calling for investigations, indicating that the evidence is strong enough for investigations and all that. And that is commendable. But if you listen to other surrogates and spokespersons of the NPP, clearly you can see that they are uncomfortable with the fact that Frimpong Boateng's report has exposed the duplicity, the hypocrisy, the dishonesty of President Akufo-Addo. Now, Alfred, before I come to some of the responses they have given to the report, just for those who are not aware of the key highlights of the report, Professor Frimpong Boateng, this is not Sami Gyamfi or Martin Kpebu, Professor Frimpong Boateng, in this report says that after President Akufo-Addo banned legal small-scale mining for 1 year, 3 months, banned excavators belonging to legal Ghanaian small-scale miners, and killed some in the process, all in the name of fighting Galamsey. President Akufo-Addo ended up making Galamsey a free-for-all enterprise for his party members and government officials. So much so that today Frimpong Boateng says the Jubilee House is the headquarters of Galamsey in Ghana. And that from presidential staffers like Charles Niteko Tego to the personal assistant of the Chief of Staff Protozwa to the Director of Operations at the Presidency, Lord Comey, they are all actively engaged in Galamsey. And the man just didn't talk. He provided further and better particulars to support that claim. And I'm very happy that Titus Glover did not even attempt to defend those people. Because those people don't have to be defended. Like he said, people who engage in illegal mining are worse than armed robbers. Because what they do is that to satisfy their greed and selfishness, they destroy water bodies that we rely on for our very sustenance. You know that water is life. And so if you destroy our water bodies, our forest reserves, just to satisfy your insatiable greed and selfishness, like these appointees have shamelessly done, you are a murderer, you are a criminal, and you don't deserve to be defended. Frimpong Boateng again talks about the fact that right from the national executive level of the NPP to the unit committee level, regional executives, national executives, they are all engaged in indiscriminate galamsey with Chinese, destroying our water bodies. This is not the gospel according to the NDC or Sami Jenfi. That can't say, if the alligator comes from under the water to tell you that the crocodile is dead, you don't argue with him. The man was at the helm of affairs in charge of the fight. And this is his verdict. He says that a member of parliament, Honorable Albert Joseph Kwam, under the guise of community mining, obtained a lot of mining concessions, which he sold at a whopping 2 billion old Ghana cedis to individuals in this country.
He was on the show last week. He says he's going to contest this in court.
Yes, I mean, I would be very happy if some of them decide to go to court, because Professor Frimpong Boateng, anytime he has been challenged, has come back forcefully with further and better particulars, with even more evidence to substantiate the claims he has made in the report. You see, some of the responses we are hearing from our friends in the NPP are very insulting, to say the least. And I want to start with their response on the issue of the missing excavators. We know, as a matter of fact, that excavators were seized from illegal miners by Operation Vanguard, by Galamsey, and so on. Two of us. And we know that those seized excavators till date have not been accounted for. Two of us.
There are some of them in some sites, but a number of...
Not accounted for. So we also know that even Frimpong Boateng, before he resigned, when he was a serving Minister of Environment and Science of this government, filed a police complaint against the then Vice Chairman of the NPP in the Central Region, Ekwa Usi, as the one responsible for the missing excavators. So there is no debate that excavators which were seized from illegal miners have either been stolen or have been sold or have been given back to illegal miners or Chinese for Galamsey in our forest reserves and water bodies. There is no doubt about that. But Frimpong Boateng buttressed his claim with a statement authored and signed by a journalist who works with Despite Media called Seth Mante. The statement can be found on page 27 and page 28 of Frimpong Boateng's report. Written in ink. Yeah. Put it on the screen for people to see. In this statement, the said journalist confesses that he was working with the then Central Regional Security Coordinator, right? Yeah. And Ekwa Usi on the seized excavators. And that people were paying bribes, 50,000 cedis per excavators, 55,000 cedis per excavators, to him. And that when they pay the bribes, he launders the money in his account at NIB. Master, Frimpong Boateng didn't just talk. He attached that written statement, police statement, in his report. Uncle Titus, can we disregard this police statement? That a journalist is saying that I know where the missing excavators went to. I was very much a part of this whole scheme, corrupt scheme, of extorting money from illegal miners whose excavators had been seized and so on. Master, even before Frimpong Boateng, Kennedy Japan has sat on his TV station on the 2. And I don't know if Titus Glover or any NPP communicator can say that he knows better about the inner workings of the NPP than Kennedy Akumprekwe Japan. He's on record to have said that all the seized excavators and even the gold relics they seized from the illegal miners have been stolen. Kennedy Japan said this even before Frimpong Boateng came to say this. Google. Even Peter Mewu is on record to have said that Operation Vanguard, elements in Operation Vanguard were engaged in illegal mining, even before this report came. The Eastern Regional Minister, Eric Darfur, is on record to have said that MPP and government functionaries and elements of Operation Vanguard were also engaged in illegal mining. All these things are facts. Who doesn't know that under Sir John, forest entry permits were given indiscriminately to illegal miners and Chinese to destroy our forest reserves? Is the evidence not on the ground? Go to the Krobo Forest Reserve today. Go to the Pamprama Forest Reserve today. Go to the Diaso Forest Reserve today. Go and check the color of River Pra, the color of River Ankobra, the color of River Brim. Today, they are as brown as chocolate. That is the terminal report of President Akufo-Addo's fraudulent fight against Galamsey. So there cannot be any debate about this report. And what every patriotic Ghanaian, what every reasonable, objective mind in this country must do is to call for a public bipartisan probe into this matter. A public bipartisan probe. Alfred, they say that, apart from the excavators matter that they are trying to brush aside, they say that Frimpong Boateng said that there was Galamsey in President Akufo-Addo's house in Chebi, and that was a lie. Because it's not possible. My brother is talking about the height of President Akufo-Addo's fence wall and all that. Please, can you put back on the screen the excerpts of the report which talks about this issue? Okay. Put it back. So because you see, they are lying. Hold on. Alfred. Yes, the page 29. Frimpong Boateng never said that Galamsey has been taking place in the residence of President Akufo-Addo at Chebi. He said that he got information from Eric Entry, who is a known security detail of the president in Chebi. Known, everybody knows him, very popular. Eric Entry? Yes, this Eric Entry, very known. I know him. You know him? Of course. He manages President Akufo-Addo's household, his farm, and I'll be talking about these things in Chebi. Frimpong Boateng mentions that he got a call from him that there was Galamsey ongoing on a field close to President Akufo-Addo's house. That's on page 29. Yes, that not in President Akufo-Addo's house. We put it on the screen earlier. Close to President Akufo-Addo's house. And he said the Galamsey had an effect on the president's garden. The nature of the effect on the president's garden, he didn't disclose. And that is why you need a probe to know the nature of that effect he was talking about. So if you take journalists, you buzz them to your residence, you are behaving like a student who goes into an examination hall with his own questions and proceed to answer his questions. Because Frimpong Boateng didn't talk about Akufo-Addo's residence. He said a field close to the residence. Number two, President Akufo-Addo doesn't have only one residence in Chebi. But that's the part of the report that you see there. I had a telephone call from Mr. Eric Entry of the Office of the President, and he narrated that the youth organizer of the MPP in Chebi was excavating for gold in a field close to the house of His Excellency the President of the Republic. Yeah. So clearly, they are just deceiving the media. Number two, so I am putting it on record that Eric Entry should be called. Exactly. And number two, the said activity we are talking about happened in 2021. They got this report, the Chief of Staff got this report more than 26 months ago. If they were interested in establishing the truth, why didn't they buzz the media to Akufo-Addo's residence and its environs then? That was in 26 months after the facts. After Frimpong Boateng says the land has been reclaimed and revegetated, if you send media men even to the environs, are you going to see anything? No. This is common sense. Number three, I want to put on record here on TV3 that President Akufo-Addo doesn't just own one property in Chebi. The house he took the journalist to is his mother's residence at Chebi New Town. But apart from that, Akufo-Addo owns a property in between Chebi, Esikam, and Adukrum, Honorable Ofusu-Ampofo hometown. That property is also a security zone which is fenced. And on that property, which is managed by the said Eric Entry, National Security Operative, he runs a cattle farm there and has a garden there. I am daring the presidency that if they say that Galamsey is not going on any property of the president in Chebi, I am daring them. Let them buzz media men to that property and let's see what will come out. Which specific property are you talking about? His property between Chebi Sikam and Adukrum. That is where this Eric Entry is. Yes, he manages both that and the president's mother's residence at Chebi New Town, which is where they took the media men to. I am saying that this other property too, they should send the people there. We are not children in this household, in this country.
Yeah, it's a house.
We are not children in this country. We know what is happening. We have our ears on the ground. Some of them got wind of the fact that we were intending to come there, and they have been sending threats that if we step there, they will shoot us and kill us. They should wait. All the truth will come out. You see, the truth is like pregnancy. You can't hide it forever.
Amen.
God is the one exposing President Akufo-Addo, his
Amen.
duplicity, his hypocrisy, his dishonesty on this Galamsey matter.
Amen.
Do you know the amount of money that they have spent on this Galamsey fight? Billions of cedis spent on Galamstop, spent on Operation Vanguard, spent on procuring drones to fight Galamsey. All gone down the drain. When President Akufo-Addo goes to Chebi, does he feel proud as an indigene of Chebi? And senior, maybe you don't know, in Chebi, Akufo-Addo's hometown, people do Galamsey in their bedrooms. In their bedrooms. Today, go to Chebi, walk the streets of Chebi. You will visibly see Galamsey going on indiscriminately in the township of Chebi. The most obscene form of criminality I've ever witnessed in this country. Go, when President Akufo-Addo goes to his hometown and he sees the River Brim, how does he feel? The River Brim that people drink from. Alfred, go and look at the diseases that people have contracted from drinking this cyanide, mercury polluted water. People are dying. People are getting all manner of skin rashes. Today, Ghana Water Company Limited is telling us that they can't even cope with the high cost of treating these water bodies because of Galamsey.
Okay, so let me put it
and then you have a chief of staff, let me just conclude, who says that I was given this 37-page report 26 months ago, but I did nothing about it because the report was not on a letterhead. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I did nothing wrong with it because the report was not packaged well. Can you imagine? All these people are involved. And senior, it has gotten to a time where all of us must come together, irrespective of our political affiliation. Look, some of you have said that the report even talks about NDC people engaged in illegal mining. Show us those NDC people, and we will all go after them. Nobody must be shielded. Whether NDC, whether NPP, if you go and do Galamsey in a water body, you are a criminal.
That's it.
You have been given the authority of the states to crack down on this criminality. For you to be talking about, oh, NDC people too are engaged in illegal mining, actually underscores your uselessness. Because you are sick, you have all the powers. You are the commander-in-chief. You have placed your presidency on the line to fight illegal mining. I'm talking about President Akufo-Addo. And people are destroying our water bodies, okay, such that today we all face imminent extinction. And what is your response? You say, oh, opposition elements are also doing Galamsey. What is the essence of the power we give you? Of what usefulness are you to us if you cannot use that power to crack down on the activities of all these people? When the water bodies are polluted, when you drink those Galamsey polluted water bodies, whether you are NDC or MPP, you will die from it. Indeed. So Galamsey has no political colors. Where we have gotten, this is, when we went to school, Alfred, they told us that water is life. And they told us that when the last tree dies, the last man dies. Our very survival, sustenance as human beings is interdependent on these water bodies and these forest reserves. Anybody who, because of greed and selfishness, destroys these natural resources in the way we have seen in the last 6 and 7 years are criminals.
So
Let us don't defend them. Let's join us. Let's call them out. You understand?
You are saying that if we have the president, you say there's knowledge that the president has another property in Chebi Esikem.
And in fact, in that property, there is a building.
Chebi Esikem specifically.
From Chebi, you go to Pano. From Pano, Esikem to Adukrum, Honorable Fosuampofu's hometown. I'm saying that at Esikem, between Esikem and Adukrum, it is a big land with a long, send your reporters there. All the people in the community knows it belongs to President Akufo-Addo. It is a security zone. You go and see national security operatives there. I am daring the president, send Elton John Brobe and the presidential press corps back there. And let us see what they will find out.
Now, so in time past, we've seen, and indeed, earlier, the communication, for instance, from the Ghana Water Company Limited a few months ago about shutting down the treatment plant in that area because of the increased stability of the water bodies there. That's number one. And then also having to use 10 times more the quantity of the chemicals that they use in, as it were, purifying this water. So it is a fundamental concern that not just the political parties are raising, but the institutions as well who are taking care of our water bodies in that specific area. Mr. Titus Glover, the underlying concern here is what has to be done to deal with this existential threat that we are faced with as a people. That threatens you and I, our own lives in this country. The forest cover and the water bodies in this country. You have the power we have entrusted in you as government. As this report has detailed what is happening in these areas, what are you going to do, apart from admitting in your earlier submission that, yes, this is happening, if persons are involved in it, it is not right, you condemn it. What do you expect of the presidency beyond the rhetoric that we have seen?
Thank you very much, Afi. Let me respond briefly to some of the issues that Sami touched on, that President Akufo-Addo's government has done nothing and he has connived with Chinese collaborators to deplete our forests and all that. Clearly, I am not excited of this level of destruction of the water bodies and our vegetation, and my position has never changed at all. But let me say that when he mentioned the name of Honorable Kwam, I think last week he was here. You gave me some space to come and respond to the report by Professor Frimpong Boateng. I think as lawyers, he's sitting here. And Sami knows, and Martin also knows. The fact that I'm useless. I'm sure. I'm sorry. I apologize. I apologize to you.
Honorable Titus Glover is a nice man. And one of the few nice men in the MPP.
And for Prof to say whatever he published or what he published in his report, I think the onus is on Honorable Kwam also to come back and respond. Because if you are describing something I haven't done, it is very difficult to admit that something I have not done and you are putting it on me. So I am happy that he wanted to go to the route of the legal process to clear his name.
Yes, he indicated that he was going to go to court.
Number two, again, I want to ask Sami, the way you have attacked us so much, because there's grounds for you to do so. Sami, I recall during your time, either Professor Bills, may he so rest in peace, and my big brother JDN himself, you were facing the same challenge. I remember my senior, Honorable Collins Dauda, who was then the Minister for Lands and Forestry. Then later, my senior, Honorable Ines Afuseni. This Galamsey fight, it is not one-man fight. Sami, I was expecting you to tell us how Dr. Tony Eben and Kweku Boahen were in one of the Galamsey pits during the 2020 elections. You see, when you condemn us, you must also admit that you was also in Galamsey areas campaigning for votes for JDM to be elected as the president. I have it here. I have it here. The way you were so forceful, so eloquent, adducing all your arguments to make sure that we have done whatever we are not supposed to do. On the other leg, you were in Galamsey areas led by Kweku Boahen and Dr. Tony Eben, one-time Chief Executive of the Minerals Commission, in the Galamsey area, telling them to continue to go and mine illegally to make and vote for John Mahama to become President of the Republic.
Now so clearly, you have the power.
So hold on.
How are you going to?
I just
the
want
most
somebody to know that in as
where
much as...
are we now?
Hold on. Please, I beg you. Sami had opportunity to say all kinds of things, and I listened to him carefully. In as much as he was condemning us, I expected him to also admit that this is what happened. In your time, Galamsey was good. Your party people were equally doing Galamsey. You could not resolve it. Now it has got to a 10. President Kufuor, the way Sami and the NDC are describing him, that his commitment towards Galamsey is not much. I disagree.
Why?
I totally disagree.
Why do you
Because his commitment in the fight has not changed. Individual people in responsibilities have failed him to some extent. And that is where I am worried. And I've said in other platforms, if all these people who have failed the president, he must not sit down. He must make sure he push them away and get committed people who can help him in the fight against this Galamsey menace. Because it has no color.
But to the extent that the president has taken no action against these people who have failed him, what does it say about him?
For example, this extortion of monies from Galamseyers, I don't see, and Sami, the police investigation will come out with some of these things. They should be invited. This guy from Peace FM, this Ekowusi gentleman, and all those who matter in this envelope of these accusations, do you understand? Must equally be invited. And that's why I'm urging the police. Please don't go to sleep. The president has referred this matter to you. Of course, the next time I hear somebody saying that he's a clearing agent, and he cannot investigate the matter himself. That is why he has referred it to the police, CID. They must be quick and hurry to come out and make sure that all those who are involved in these things are dealt with. And Fimo Bati also did not help us. In as much as he mentioned my brother Niteko Tego and my brother Lord Komi to say that they are all involved in Galamsey, why didn't he give us names of those NDC people in the Western region, in the Evaluadra area, to the extent that they even get this money to finance independent candidate against MPP parliamentary candidate? All these things that he came at, I don't fault him. The information that he has given to us are strong, are evident enough that the police can rely on to prosecute or to investigate and get to prosecutional level. Do you understand? I will not support and I will not shield anybody. So long as your name has been mentioned, it is the opportunity for you to come back and clear your name. And I want to say and repeat, President Kufuor's fight against Galamsey is ongoing. He is not going. This is the time that we have seen Galamsey issue being discussed at every level. I welcome it. It's an assurance to the president that, look, this work I'm doing, there's a lot I need to do more. So I must encourage him to do more. The soldiers and the police who are in the woods trying to fish out these Galamsey, you'll be home, and they are in the hinterlands in the night mining. I don't know whether their eyes are in the night. They have special light in their eyes that they can source where these minerals are. So clearly, this is a fight that cannot be won in a day. It's an ongoing work. It's a work in progress. All the attacks that are coming, I take it in good faith, but I can assure you, President Kufuor has not reneged in his fight against this Galamsey. It is not a one-man business. All of us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Stay with us. This is key point.
You want to go for a break? I wanted to draw your attention to something before you go. When we come and do my rebuttal.
You want in a minute.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Please tell your editor of 3news.com.
Okay, so
to pull down that story they have done. Because even Honorable Titus Glover says he said it in the heat of the moment. He's sorry. You disassociated your station from it, and you've gone to do a story.
Hold on.
There's a appointed lawyer who can manage his life. Why would TV3 do this?
No.
When you sat here and said you will not even allow the comments on your platform.
So when we come back, we will come back. You would have your take on those issues. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. This is Key Point. My guests are with me in studio. We'll be back shortly.
Celebrate this month of Easter with Melcom and save more on your cities always when you shop on items ranging from groceries, electronics, homeware, kitchenware, furniture, home decor, and many more. Terms and conditions apply. Melcom, where Ghana shops.
Welcome to Lakeside Hills, a gated community which offers a peaceful and serene living experience. Today, we are going to be touring a beautiful 2-bedroom standard house measuring 85 square meters. As we enter the house, we are greeted by a cozy living room that is perfect for entertaining your guests and relaxing after a long day's work. The large windows allow plenty of natural lights to flood in, illuminating the space and making it feel inviting. The first bedroom is cute and adorable, perfect for young couples and growing families. The second bedroom is connected to its very own bathroom, providing the perfect setting for guests or anyone that values their privacy. The kitchen has been designed to be both functional and stylish. The modern appliances and the classy cabinet make it perfect for the home chef or anyone who enjoys cooking. The house also features a compound that can comfortably park 2 cars and it's also partly powered by an AC solar system. If you're looking for a peaceful and a serene living experience in a gated community with so many amenities, then Lakeside Hills is the place for you.
Discover the extraordinary on our 6 or 8 days all-inclusive land and cruise packages starting from South Africa to Namibia or Mozambique. Available every week. The package includes 5-star hotel accommodation with breakfast, lunch and dinner, all-inclusive drink package, entertainment on board, city tours, all transfers, travel insurance and visa fees. Call us on 0308 251 055 or visit yourcruisepeople.com.
It's time to kill it! Follow freedom fighter! Papa killing!
Mosquitoes, cockroaches, and flying insects. Today marks a new dawn to freedom. Ghana Labour Force. Let's all rally together to kill mosquitoes, cockroaches, and flying insects for good. Be free, like Prophet Divine.
I too was afflicted with mosquitoes.
No. Please. No, don't go. Wait.
Papa, kill it, wouldn't you?
Kill it.
Kill it at the romantic and tuntum. I am delivered.
Mosquitoes, cockroaches, and flying insects.
Kill it.
Hello. Oh, Miba. Ejuma way there and never Papa kill it.
Kill it. Todiekum. Leave room for 15 minutes after spraying and allow adequate ventilation. FDA actually agreed.
The fishing industry in Ghana is of prime importance to the economy and the well-being of the people. Sadly, this critical industry faces a hidden threat that threatens its very existence and survival. Join us as we shine our spotlight on the canker of illegal fishing, a practice that has devastated our marine resources, depleting our fish stock, leaving our fishermen with empty nets, fish processors struggling to survive, and our communities in dire straits. We delve into safe fish handling and processing, certification and licensing schemes. We focus our sharp lenses on child labor and trafficking in fishing communities to demand accountability and responsiveness from duty bearers. Join 3 Foundations advocacy for Ghana's fisheries recovery through missions compelling and captivating advocacy. Keep an eye out on TV3. This program is under the auspices of the Feed the Future Ghana Fisheries Recovery Activity, funded by USAID, from the American people, live on News 360 and across all Media General social media platforms.
Yeah. Welcome back. This is Key Point on TV3. We're live on 3FM 92.7. Also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. Now, I'll just take 3 minutes. Yes, because we need to move. We need to move to the next.
I will try and do it in 3 minutes.
We need to move to the next issue.
So can I start?
Yes.
Yeah. So number 1, Honorable Albert Kwam. I can see from the way Honorable Titus spoke that maybe he is his colleague or former colleague and friend. Nobody is saying that he should be convicted as a criminal on the basis of the findings in Professor Frimpong Boateng's report. But the findings are very serious. And that is why we are calling for a probe. And so he should even be excited about the probe. You see, we are not saying that he is guilty as charged. But we are saying that let's have a bipartisan, publicly televised probe, so that Frimpong Boateng will be called upon to adduce evidence to show how he sold concessions for 2 billion old Ghana cedis. And he can also have his day. What is wrong about this? That is number one. Number two, my brother spoke about Tony Oben and Anthony Kweku Boateng campaigning in Galamsey areas for votes and all that. He gets it totally wrong. My brother, in the said video, the gentleman who spoke before Tony Oben and Kweku Boateng spoke is called Pepra. Pepra is the spokesperson of the Small Scale Miners Association of Ghana. The people they were talking to there were small scale miners, not Galamseyers. Because Pepra will never support Galamsey, which is a threat to small scale miners. His association will kick him out. You understand? So Pepra was there representing the Small Scale Miners Association. Okay. But you know that in those local areas, in the Chief Palace, right, they describe small scale mining even as Galamsey, and that is why in the P language you hear them say that. But once you saw the spokesperson of the Small Scale Miners Association of Ghana there, straight away you should know that they were not preaching Galamsey. In any case, Frimpong Boateng has told you that the reason why you lost in mining areas is not because anybody used Galamsey for any campaign purposes. He says it is because the people there saw the hypocrisy and duplicity of President Akufo-Addo and your government. They saw how their environment, their forest reserves and water bodies were being destroyed by Chinese, who were being protected by the military, the police, and so on. And that is why they voted against you. So don't put this on Kweku Boateng or anybody. Finally. In any case, we in the NDC have said that if you have any evidence that any NDC person is engaged in Galamsey, bring it, we will condemn it, call for their prosecution, and so on.
Okay.
No, please.
Well,
just last two words. Again, he says that under NDC, we also lost the fight against Galamsey and all that. That is not true. We didn't completely eradicate Galamsey. But Galamsey, the rate of Galamsey in Ghana was at no point, okay, or was nowhere close to what we are witnessing today. Watch Araba Kumsin's editorial on Galamsey. She shows you a snapshot of River Nkobra in 2016 February under President Mahama vis-a-vis River Nkobra in 2017. And you see from that editorial, that documentary, that River Nkobra was crystal clear, same as River Pra. The pictures are there. The water bodies were not as polluted, as turbid as we are seeing them today under President Mahama. Under President Mahama, nobody stole 500 excavators. Under President Mahama, ministers and MPs were not engaged in indiscriminate Galamsey like we are witnessing today. So stop the equalization and let's punish crime. Crime is crime. Finally, my brother here says that he disagrees with us when we say that President Akufo-Addo is not committed to the fight against illegal mining. You see, I don't know why he wants to defend the president. Whether or not the president is committed against illegal mining, committed to the fight against illegal mining, it's not something that has to be determined based on words. It must be determined based on action. What action? When reports come about acts of ministers involved in Galamsey, how has the president dealt with such matters? The ANAS he promised to use his principle to fight Galamsey published the Galamsey fraud documentary, which caught on tape a presidential staffer, Nanado's boy, Charles Bisu, extorting bribes from Chinese and other illegal miners. What did the president do to him? He couldn't even sack him. He couldn't even tell him to resign as a presidential staffer. The police and the CID whitewashed the matter. Even before the special prosecutor. Yes, because they were not petitioned by ANAS to investigate the matter. ANAS petitioned then Martin Amidu, special prosecutor. Even before Martin Amidu could commence investigations, Tiwa Adodankwa, then head of CID, issued a report and said the man has been cleared. And that is why I disagree with my brother when he says that this serious issue should be investigated by the police and the CID. Okay. The police, I'm concluding, cannot be judges in their own cause.
Thank you.
The police has been indicted in the report, the military has been indicted, and so what you need is an independent body, Office of Special Prosecutor, and Parliament launching a full-scale, publicly televised bipartisan probe so that everybody can have their day. Protozwa, Lord Kome, the Chief of Staff, all these ministers can have their day to mount their defense, and Frimpong Boateng and others who have evidence of their complicity in Galamsey can also mount their defense.
In fact,
that is the way we should approach this conversation.
That on the path of law, and now bring him out. Let me bring it on.
Just 5 seconds, 5 seconds.
No.
I was just telling Titus Glover that the Galamsey money, when they make it, they don't give him some. So you shouldn't
hold on.
Yeah, he's a spokesperson of the Small Scale Miners Association.
I just called me.
Yeah.
That is a Galamsey.
No.
Okay.
He is a spokesperson.
Hold on.
He chased him out of his father's
Hold on. This is your word. Thank you.
He's a Galamsey.
You see, you are very experienced in this work. Honorable, you are very experienced in communication.
Thank you.
Not every
Mr. Titus Glover. Mr. Titus Glover.
Not every message people send to you has to be read on platforms like this.
Now, Lawyer Martin Kpebu,
of the Small Scale Miners Association of
Lawyer Martin Kpebu, we've seen
the
Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice petitioned on this matter. There's been calls for an independent commission of inquiry. Now, where does the Office of Special Prosecutor as well come in on this particular issue, especially because beyond this discourse, what has to be done to give effect to the details of this report so as to stem the tide of the impact of illegal mining that we are seeing in this country?
Thank you. Great. So the Independent Commission of Inquiry, that's provided for by Article 278 of the Constitution. And where last week we indicated that 3 ways. Through these debates, the president can be briefed by national security that there's a high public interest, and so he can say that he's satisfied. So he will set up an independent one, not one filled with party foot soldiers like what he's done to the EC, the Salima Tijani Ahmed, and then Dr. Apia Hine and Dr. Bosman. Those kind of appointments, no. Party foot soldiers, no. It's not Bosman who said the NDC is an existential threat to our democracy, and he's in the EC. And then the other ones, we don't want those kind of appointments. Yes, so our parliament can do a resolution.
Parliament?
And then, yes, that's B and C. And then Council of State, those kind of things. So those are 3 ways of getting it set up. But I also support, and then the other things about the Commission of Inquiry will go on, right? Provided by the Constitution. But I also support what Sami Gyamfi stated about the Parliament doing its own probe. I think the parliamentary probe may come under Article 103. Parliament has oversight over the ministries, agencies, and the rest, right? Good. So that we have that one, that's the second leg, so Parliament should go ahead. This is to make sure that we'll get a lot of independence, so that when the Commission of Inquiry is going on and they know that, hey, there will be another layer of probe and another, it will even make them, you see, they will compete among themselves. Let's bring competition. Do you see that, Mr. Okansi?
Yes.
Yes, let's bring competition. So Parliament will do its own. Then the Commission of Inquiry under Article 278 will happen. And then let the Special Prosecutor also do the criminal one. Look at Gabi Ochidaku's clients, the imperial heritage. You saw the way the forest has been destroyed. You think we are going to allow this? No. Gabi and his clients must be prosecuted. The fact that Gabi has sued Frimpong Boateng doesn't stop the criminal prosecution. The two are different. When you destroy a forest, that's the realm of criminal prosecution.
So you want this what the probe will establish?
Yes.
Whether or not there's some complicity in there or otherwise?
Yes, and the distraction is clear. You see, the forests at Diaso, the forests at Kobro, and then the forests at Apraprama, right? Yeah. 3 forests. You see how hectares, large hectares. No, imperial mining, Donald Esua, Gabi and his people, no, they must face justice. Gabi and his clients, they have to face justice. It doesn't matter that Gabi has sued from Boateng. That one is a civil case. Please, let viewers understand. Well, the lawsuit that Gabi is initiated against Frimpong Boateng is a civil case. These matters we are talking about here is a criminal element.
He said that at the time, the documents that were made available to him,
this imperial mining never had any mining license. It was forest entry permit is not a mining license. A mining license is given by the Minerals Commission.
Prospecting.
Hey, prospecting means go and drill gold. Yes. That is full mining. Prospecting, you do is exploration. Another name for prospecting is exploration. So you drill holes at various intervals and the rest to check. That is full-scale mining. So Imperial Money, Dona Esua, Gabi, they have to face justice. Look, we will not allow this thing to continue. We have to fight. Ghanaians, look, we need to sit up. We can't allow this. We can't continue to be docile. They are destroying the forest, taking all the contracts, everything for themselves. You are seated and you are in church praying. Praying for what? God is giving us brains that we should march. Come out and march. Come out and protest. This thing has to stop. It's so nauseating. Very nauseating. So, look, Alfred, this is not the first time that we'll have 3 levels of investigations. The Presidential Independent Commission of Inquiry, the Parliamentary Bipartisan Commission of Committee Bipartisan Inquiry. Then we have Special Prosecutor also coming in. Different, because Special Prosecutor soon is to prepare to go to court. Yeah. But these other ones, they also have, you know, under Article, from the 278 going, if you are found liable by the Commission of Inquiry, you can be disqualified from holding public office. That's one thing. Sometimes people say, oh, it has no use, it has no use. Yes, there's disqualification. If they make findings that you are not fit for public office, so be it, you won't be. All right? And also the value of it is the fact that when it's being done publicly, we get to participate. Even when you are watching, you are participating because you are being this in school. You're being enlightened. And people can reach out. Maybe if some lies are being told and you have evidence, you can go to the commission and offer same. So let's do the 3 layers. It will help our democracy. This is not the first time. Over 100 years ago, democracies were doing it in the US, everywhere. Yes, one matter. You find several investigations. Let me mention. Yesterday, I was just reading history. I came across this. You see, when this guy, President Teddy Roosevelt, when he took the Panama Canal, the land to build it, right? You know, Panama used to be part of Colombia. And so they orchestrated and got Panama to take independence from Colombia, and then they got the land. If you look at the way President Teddy Roosevelt went about it, there were suggestions of corruption. There were several investigations, not just one. Then you come again to the U.S., the same thing. This Donald Trump, the Russian involvement in the U.S. elections in 2017. So many state agencies investigated it, different ones. Then number 3, you see this COVID, the origins of COVID, the Wuhan lab, the leak that it came from a lab. Even the FBI have also entered it. FBI have entered, the national security of the U.S. is entered. Different agencies, WHO, they are all doing their parallel investigations. So doing parallel investigations have been there for centuries. It didn't start today.
The Office of Special Prosecutor, Independent Commission of Inquiry, SHRAJ, CID,
yes,
can all initiate different investigations into this matter.
A criminal matter, and we need to ascertain the truth, the facts, and punish those found culpable.
Okay.
Alfred, Alfred, we have lawyers here, and they need to educate me a bit. I'm told that findings of Commission of Inquiries cannot be used in court.
Yes, this is what they are doing. Yes, so that's why I said independent. What the CI, the Commission of Inquiry CI, says that when the person comes before the commission, if he comes to give you information, you can't use that again. So OSP, Office of Special Prosecutor, will be doing their parallel investigation. They shouldn't rely on this. So if you can come out with your own parallel witnesses and evidence, you can prosecute. But what the person brings to you, so what you're talking about is the Ghana at 50 case, the Reku Broby case. Yes, and that's not. The Commission of Inquiry CI is very clear. You only get immunity for what you have brought. So when you bring the commission evidence, they can't subsequently use it to prosecute you. But if they independently, a special prosecutor independently gets it.
That one can form. Alfred, I have no problem if investigation is conducted. And already the police CID is handling one. And Parliament is a strong institution, very independent. They can also do whatever they want to do. If at the end of the day, unfortunately, Parliament cannot prosecute, if they can refer to...
But they can, under section,
they can refer
to the special prosecutor
or whatever.
On
they can go ahead and do whatever.
Right. So, Lawyer Matibel, you made reference to something that came up yesterday. Gabi Asare Dakun sued the former Environment Minister, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng.
I thought we were going to Goldmark.
Yes, we'll go to the next issue. For defamation and demanding 10 million cedis in damages. We have a copy of it, and essentially what he's saying in this suit we have, including aggravated and or exemplary, damages for defamation, for libel uttered by the defendant, in this case, Professor Kwabena Boateng, particularized as follows, quote, "What saddened me most was when Mr. Gabriel Chidako called to defend a company that was actively destroying the environment, especially the forest and rivers, often in the Apaprama and Kobro forest. We were ready to dislodge imperial heritage from Kobro forest when Mr. Gabriel Chidako called to inform me that he was the lawyer for Heritage Imperial Limited, a company that was destroying the Kobro and Apaprama forest." It goes on. And he says, "You called to tell me that your client had a valid mining license and all necessary permits. I told you that Heritage Imperial Company Limited did not possess documents as that." Gabriel Chidako is demanding an apology and retraction of the words complained of and particularized supra. Perpetual injunction restraining the defendant, whether by himself, his servant, agents, or assigns, from repeating similar or other defamatory words against the plaintiff. These are the details in the statement of claim by Gabriel Chidako. The next issue is not very different from civil.
It's a civil case. Okay. It doesn't stop the criminal investigations and the commission of inquiry and all those things.
To establish the details, whether or not.
But Alfred, so somebody says that a former minister says that you called him on phone to intervene in the seizure of equipment belonging to your clients.
Right.
You say you confirm that indeed you made a call. You confirm that indeed you asked those questions, you made that intervention and all that. The
court will decide. The court will decide.
It's a strategy.
Let's look at this something related. The presidency has written to Al Jazeera to apologize to the president and the government of Ghana about a documentary in which, per the details of the president's statement or the letter to Al Jazeera, they had prior knowledge of and raised concerns about some specific areas of this said documentary, but that was not amended. We'll get into the details of the presidency statement, but this is just a piece of that documentary, which we would show to you as we go on. But the specific concerns that the presidency raised about the details of this report, we would put on the screen shortly. And this is what the presidency wrote to Al Jazeera, that this is signed by the secretary to the president, Nana Asante Bediatu. It says that in those circumstances, further and better particulars were demanded from Al Jazeera to respond adequately to the allegations made in Al Jazeera's letter. Al Jazeera was thus requested to provide information on the period for which the president allegedly provided legal representation to Alester Matthias or his company, Goldrest Resources. Furthermore, Al Jazeera was requested to provide details of the $100 million tender for state infrastructure allegedly given to Mr. Matthias, which he outsourced and kept a percentage in offshore accounts, as stated in the letter, as well as information on how the president personally benefited unlawfully from the alleged $100 million tender for state infrastructure. This is what the presidency wrote requesting of Al Jazeera as required. Al Jazeera refused or failed to provide these details as requested and went ahead with the broadcast of the documentary. At the end of the documentary, a text was shown contradicting the content of the documentary. Additionally, it goes on, the subject of the documentary, Alistair Matthias, denied what he said in the documentary to Al Jazeera's investigative journalists. In light of these blatant denials by Mr. Alistair Matthias and the response from Mr. Isuman, those parts of the documentary ought not to have been included because the statements were not true. And they make reference to the statements contradicting the earlier one by Alistair Matthias himself. Accordingly, those parts of the documentary are malicious, defamatory, and a calculated attempt to tarnish the reputation of the president and the government of Ghana. And that's where they go on to demand that that be effected and also acknowledged. These are the specific concerns that the presidency has raised about this particular documentary. Now, this comes on the heels of Professor Kobna Frimpong Boateng's leaked report as well. Would you also support that call by the NDC and others, not just the NDC, for a national or bipartisan probe into this issue as well, beyond the concerns that the presidency has raised on this? Mr. Glover.
Thank you very much, Alfie. I'm a trained stringer at a time in Tema during my days of trade unionism and the Ghana Labour College. My lecturer was Yabudwa Yobua, the current chairman of the National Media Commission, Mr. Amegaibo, then the general manager for Ghana News Agency. Journalism, we are taught that we need to have a balanced and fair reportage. These are lawyers with me in your studio, that if you are reporting about somebody, the onus is on you to give that person an opportunity to hear his side of whatever you want to publish or write about him. But this is an international journalist engaging somebody to speak so maliciously and wickedly against the President of the Republic. Per what you have read to us, that Mr. Bidiutu wrote to Al Jazeera, that they were able to point out certain informations that they drew their attention to it. The most wicked of all, or the fact that the president has assisted him to secure a contract valued about $100 million, and the president has personally benefited from it. An international media, and you went to bed to make these serious recriminations and attack on the president. And he's saying that, look, what you are saying, we are giving you the opportunity, give it those information we have, give it to us for us to respond. You didn't say anything about it. And because you have an agenda to attack the persona of the president, you see the NDC has gone to bed and they're running route with it. That's calling him all kinds of names. And you see the way Sami will jump into that. Calling him all kinds of names. But in any case, you have not treated the president fairly. You have not. So now, the secretary to the president has written to Al Jazeera. And when you read what you said, he said, at one point, the Alistair Matthias came back to apologize for what he has done.
Why so they contradicted an earlier submission, specifically on this particular point about the presidency.
So nobody put gun on his head when he was making all those recognitions against the president. Then later, what came to mind for him to come and make the apologies. Do you understand? The retraction is very important. The medium that Al Jazeera used to make that broadcasting, he must use that same medium to make that retraction and make that apology. I don't see any investigation here. Somebody who's being interviewed, he said he's doing gold business or whatever, and he went ahead and said all kinds of things against me. Sitting here, if somebody comes to attack me in Equator here, you have not come to listen to my side, and you go to bed, you go public and start broadcasting about me, I have a right to refer you to my lawyers to take action against you. But in terms of democracy, knowing President Akufo-Addo, all we need to do is that all the insults and attacks against him, he has not referred anything to court. All he asks to maybe media commission, write to all those involved, retract and apologize, then we'll move on. It is so painful that you have an international media house like Al Jazeera and the gentleman Matthias, Alistair Matthias, for him to make all those comments or those commentary about the president and go scot-free. I think that it is legit, it is appropriate that they will retract and make that apology, then we'll move on.
So that call for a national probe beyond this to establish beyond reasonable doubt, for instance, which contract was won, and also the issues relating to this particular individual.
That is why the secretary to the president has written to him, give us. You said we'll give, provide it. Provide the issue, share to the public. We want to know. Where is that contract that you mentioned about? Which year? What contract was that?
Jeffy, you earlier called for a probe into this matter as well. The fundamental questions that are being raised here by the presidency and indeed Titus Glover is the further detail beyond what this gentleman has said. Details about which specific contract was given, and then also there is this information about Alistair Matthias getting into this country on record as 2009, was arrested in 2014, and then some allegations of his involvement in money laundering and so on. Would you support that demand for further detail beyond what is captured in this particular documentary?
Thank you, Alfred. I'm not sure that my senior brother, Honorable Titus Glover, has watched the Gold Mafia documentary of Al Jazeera, which is what we are discussing today. Because he's totally gotten it wrong. Totally gotten it wrong.
What do you mean?
You see, what are we discussing? We are talking about a reputable international media agency, Al Jazeera, which decides that, look, gold smuggling and money laundering has been the bane of many African countries. And so we want to investigate the mafia behind these serious crimes, expose them, and ensure that that canker is nipped in the bud. Okay? And so they get their reporters to pose as businessmen, investors with money, looking for people to help them launder the money through gold trading and so on. And so they go to a gentleman called Alistair Matthias, a Canadian citizen, who they suspected as one of the architects, masterminds of this whole gold smuggling and money laundering scheme in Africa. They go to him and they propose or they request that he assist them, launder illegal money and so on. And this Alistair Matthias tells them that, look, what you are asking for is very easy. I can do it for you. And that I've done that in many African countries, including Ghana. And that in Ghana, I smuggle 1 ton of gold worth $40 million out of the country every month. And that I am able to do that because the President of the Republic of Ghana is my friend. And that he is even my lawyer. And then he goes on to tell these investigative journalists from Al Jazeera who were posing as investors. Now look, what I have even been doing for corrupt officials in Ghana, in the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government, is that they award me inflated projects, inflated contracts. I subcontract the projects to another contractor at a lower realistic fee. Then the padded amount is shared between us. It was at that point that he spoke about the $100 million contract that was given him by this government, which he subcontracted to another entity at $80 million, made a staggering $20 million profit for no work done, and which, according to him, he kept $5 million and gave $15 million to his collaborators in the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. Now, Alfred, there is no doubt about the fact that this Alistair Matthias is a person who operates many businesses in Ghana.
You operate many businesses in Ghana?
Yes. He owns the company called Goldrest, which to date is engaged in gold buying and gold exports in Ghana. He operates a company called Matthias Holdings with many dealings in Ghana.
They are on record. They
operate in Ghana.
In Ghana.
Yes.
You have records on them.
My brother, Goldrest is a company in Ghana owned by Alistair Matthias. Matthias Holdings same, as you just indicated. Even in 2024, his business partner called Henry Osei reported him to the Ghana police. 2014, sorry, for defrauding him and all that. So this is somebody.
So this is a person who got in 2009.
Alfred, I'm coming here. You let me make my point. So there is no question about that. In what serious country will a foreigner operating businesses in that country be caught on tape, confessing that he smuggles gold worth $40 million out of the country every month? He is awarded inflated contracts by government and that he shares the inflated amounts with his collaborators in government and so on. In what serious country will such issues be swept under the carpet or ignored? Because the person is not a ghost. The person exists in Ghana. And these are his own confessions. Any reasonable mind, any patriotic mind should want an investigation into this matter. The only people who are against investigations into this matter are the ones who know that they will be exposed if investigations are conducted. Because if I was mentioned by Alistair Matthias as his friend in the documentary, I will call for investigations so that my name will be cleared. I will call for investigations so that I can have the opportunity to show that I don't know him from anywhere. I have not awarded him any inflated contracts. Once you see that the people who have been named are finding ways, okay, to resist calls for investigations, then you know that they have something to hide. That is number one. Again, I said that my brother has not watched the documentary and that he's gotten the entire thing wrong because, you see, if you watch the documentary and you read a letter from the president, you will realize that Al Jazeera has done nothing wrong in this matter. You are a journalist. You've been practicing journalism for years, right, Alfred? Mm-hmm. When you are doing an investigation and a third party is mentioned, what is expected of you as a journalist? You are supposed to seek the response or the comment of that third party who has been mentioned in the report. Is that not what you're supposed to do? Get a side of the story and incorporate a side of the story in your publication. That is where your responsibility ends.
There's also another responsibility of fact-checking as well.
Fact-checking as well.
Yes.
So, Al Jazeera conducts this investigation. They capture Alistair Matthias on tape talking about the fact that the president is his best friend, he's his lawyer, these are the crimes the president assists him to do in Ghana and all that. Then they write a letter to the president. They say, we are done with our investigations. This is what Alistair has said about you. We are enjoined by the ethics of our profession to give you a hearing. What is your response? And then the president says, the president has an opportunity. He's a lawyer. He has an opportunity to categorically deny the allegations or to admit. He knows that in law, equivocation can amount to admission under some circumstances. And listen to what the president said. Paragraph 2 of the letter signed by Nana Asante Bediatu, Executive Secretary to the President to Al Jazeera. He says the documentary in question made baseless claims against the President. He said the documentary in question made baseless claims that the President acted as a lawyer for one Alistair Matthias and implied that the President personally benefited unlawfully from an alleged $100 million state infrastructure contract purportedly awarded to Mr. Matthias. In his letter dated 11th April 2023, responding to Al Jazeera's letter of 2nd April 2023. So Al Jazeera first wrote to them, and they were responding on the 11th. Which was received on 6th April 2023, containing these vague and defamatory allegations. The legal counsel to the President, Mr. Col Abaka Esuman, acting on the instructions of the President, informed Al Jazeera that the President had not been in private practice since the year 2000, and that the President had no recollection of acting as a lawyer, either personally or through his law firm, Mrs. Akufo-Addo Prempeh & Co., for a Mr. Alistair Matthias or his company, Goldtrust Resources. So two responses there. Number one, the President has no recollection. Do you understand? He doesn't remember on Kai. That is equivocation. If you are asked a categorical question, do you know Alistair Matthias? Are you his friend? Have you been his lawyer? Have you assisted him to commit crimes against your own republic? And your answer is, I don't remember. Alfred, if you were asked that question, would that be your answer? Your answer would have been a categorical no. Titus Glover.
Was in office, have you ever been caught
as a person or whatever? If Titus Glover was asked this question by Al Jazeera, that Alistair Matthias says that you are his friend and that you assist him to engage in money laundering and goods smuggling, what would have been his answer? I don't remember. Or I don't recollect. He would have said no. The President, you see, lawyer Martin Pebu is senior to me. He knows that once you have a witness in the box under cross-examination, you ask him one question, he says, I don't remember. You ask him a yes or no question, he says, I have no recollection. You know that the person is hiding something, the person is lying.
That's the second
answer. Hold on. This answer is not a denial. The President has not been able to deny that he doesn't know him. He says he doesn't remember, meaning that it can be true that he knows him from his own answer. That's number one.
That's the second part of that.
I am coming to the second part,
which is
he has not been in legal practice.
That either personally or through his law firm.
Alfred, you don't break me. No. So allow me. I'm dealing with the second step by step.
I just wanted to. Yes. You see, because the first part you make reference to, there's a second part that follows as well, and that President has no recollection of acting as a lawyer, either personally or through his law firm.
Yes, and then he goes on to say what? So Alfred, let me make the point. The answer is in twofold. Number one, he says he has no recollection of being a friend to the guy or acting as his lawyer. On Kai, he is not saying it's not true. He says he doesn't remember. And I don't remember can mean that it is true or it is not true. The more reason why we must probe the matter. Then number two, he says he has never been in active practice since 2000, which is a lie. I will show you why it is a lie. I will demonstrate to you why that is a lie. And when you see people indicted in such matters lying, you know that they are hiding something. Look, President Akufo-Addo became Attorney General in 2001 to 2005. Became Foreign Minister from 2005 to 7th January 2009. Between 2009 to 2016, who can say that President Akufo-Addo, then in opposition, was not practicing law? Who can say that? President Akufo-Addo in December 2021, Google it. It's on public record to have said that the current Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Godfrey Dame, is his protege, and that he is proud of Godfrey Dame because he trained Godfrey Dame as a young lawyer in his law chamber, Akufo-Addo Prempeh & Co. When was Godfrey Dame called to the bar? 2003. How could Akufo-Addo have trained Godfrey Dame in his chamber if he was not practicing law after 2000? Because Godfrey Dame became a lawyer in 2003. And this Akufo-Addo says, Godfrey Dame is my protege. I trained him in my chamber. Listen, he is a lawyer, he will tell you. The fact that a lawyer doesn't go to court for courtroom litigation does not mean that the lawyer is not in private practice. Yes. The fact that you don't go to court for courtroom litigation, I don't go to court for courtroom litigation because of my work as communication officer of the NDC. But it doesn't mean that if Titus Glover
has an issue with his business partner, I cannot act as his personal lawyer.
So if somebody says that, if somebody says Sammy Gyamfi is my lawyer, what does it mean? You have a direct legal relationship with that person.
Exactly. And this is
does the evidence
saying
support
that the man is my lawyer. And their answer is that we don't remember, which in effect is a partial admission that it can be true. Then they say that he has not been in active practice since the year 2000. And I'm saying that cannot be true because Godfrey Dame was called to the bar in 2003. And you, Akufo-Addo, you say you are proud of Godfrey Dame because you trained him as a young lawyer in your chamber. Till date, Akufo-Addo is still a partner of Akufo-Addo Prempeh & Co. The name has not changed. He's a partner. When did he resign as a partner of Akufo-Addo Prempeh & Co? So they are lying to cover their tracks. This is the same way they swept other serious bribe collection scandals involving the president and the vice president under the carpet, and you, the media, allowed them to go scot-free. You recall the number 12 expose, where Anas Arimiyah Anas, the man that President Akufo-Addo said he believes in him so much, said that he will use his principle to fight corruption whilst he was in opposition, caught a friend of the president, former president of the Ghana Football Association, Kwesi Nyantakyi, on tape, extorting bribes from supposed investors. You swept it under the carpet. You said it was mere influence peddling. Bawumia was also caught on tape. I mean, serving Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Charles Adubuain, caught on tape, collecting bribes in the form of appearance fee, $250,000 per investor, for and on behalf of Bawumia. That one to influence peddling. Even before that, the MPP's own Kennedy Akompre Japan is on public record to have stated that people were extorting bribes from investors and businessmen at the presidency. Titus Glover, don't you remember? $10,000, $20,000 gate fees before you see the president or the vice president. Kennedy Japan has said this before this Alesta Matthias Gold Mafia matter came out, before number 12 came out, before appearance fee scandal involving Bawumia came out. When it comes out, we say, oh, mere speculation, mere influence peddling. How come that these two gentlemen, Alhaji Bawumia and President Akufo-Addo, are always coming up in bribery scandals, corruption scandals? How come? It cannot be a mere coincidence. It cannot be mere speculation. And if they are innocent as they claim, they should rather be calling for a probe. Now, you know what? My hands are clean. I don't know Alista Matthias from anywhere. So let's probe. Alista Matthias came into Ghana 2009 to 2010. Let's look at the companies he owns. Let's look at all the contracts that has been awarded to his company. Let's check whether the contract sums were inflated or not. Let's check whether he subcontracted those contracts or not. That is what any serious country would have done by now. And you are saying that even though the guy operates businesses in this country, we should ignore his own confession of crimes against the state. Only his accomplices will be interested in such a cover-up. And then you know the very laughable claim they make. They say, oh, Alista Matthias himself withdrew the comments he made. Maza, understand it carefully. The man was investigated and caught on tape by investigative journalists belonging to Al Jazeera. He disclosed all his criminal activities in Ghana, South Africa, and other African countries. He didn't know that he was being recorded. So he was just telling them everything. After the entire investigative work, Al Jazeera then wrote a letter to him that, you know what, we are not investors, so we are investigative journalists with Al Jazeera. So all the things, this is the letter, all the things you told us, we have it on tape and we are bringing it out. Do you have anything to say? They say, oh, I'm sorry. All the things I said were lies. And you people want us to believe that belated denial after the man knows that he has been caught on tape. Even Atai, when he was caught, he pleaded not guilty. Go to Nsawam and see. The criminals there, how many of them, even in the face of glaring evidence of criminality, pleaded not guilty? A criminal will obviously deny his crime when he knows that he has been exposed. So please, let us not keep this matter under the carpet. It is in the interest of President Akufo-Addo, his handlers, and his supporters like Titus Glover to be leading this call for a probe, so that if the president is indeed innocent, his name will be cleared and his integrity will be upheld. The reason why they are lying, president does not remember, president has not practiced law since 2000, and all that, means that they know that the man is not clean, and that a truly credible, bipartisan
probe on this matter will expose him pants down.
So if a national probe is instituted and it comes out with something contrary to the position you have taken, then what next?
That means I'll be a proud Ghanaian. I will know that my president doesn't deal with gold smugglers. I will know that my president doesn't deal with money. Ghana has been blacklisted by the international community on money laundering, don't you know? You think that this expose does our credibility and reputation, image as a nation any good in the Committee of Nations? Today, when you are traveling across the country, look at the way they suspect you because of some of these things. And so if the investigations return a verdict that President Akufo-Addo is innocent, voila, we will all be happy. I will even pour powder on him. But the fact that the man is lying, I have not practiced law since 2000, when he claims to have trained Odame after 2003. The fact that you have been asked a simple question, do you know Alistair Matthias or not? You say, I don't remember. You don't remember saying. You should have told them it was a letter, right? So you should have told them, let me check from Akufo-Addo Pempe Nku. Mr. Pebu, if right now you are asked, has Sammy Gyamfi ever been your client? And even you don't remember, once it's a letter and you are not required to give an answer in the spare of the moment, you will say, let me check my records. That is what every lawyer went to sort to do.
In 2014, thank you. In
I would 2014, say, let me check the records.
In 2014,
he will check from Akufo-Addo Pempe Nku whether there is a case file on this guy. Says, I don't remember. He doesn't remember, man.
In 2014, when Alistair was arrested,
do you know who his lawyer was?
His lawyer was Dennis Ejay Jumo.
No, that was not his lawyer. That was not his lawyer. That was not his lawyer.
He was the one who represented him in court.
It was not his lawyer. Let me educate you.
Dennis Ejay Jumo.
No.
So
his lawyer.
let me read this publication. So the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service mounted an intensive search for Canadian
for those who stood surety, not for those who stood surety
allegedly
for
duping a Ghanaian businessman $4 million on the pretext of supplying the businessman with gold. The suspect, Chief Executive Officer of MA Resources Limited, Alistair Jude Matthias, was arrested in June. This was in 2014 by the CID, as a commercial crime unit of the CID, but was granted bail with 2 sureties while investigation continued. The suspect was asked to keep reporting to the police, but he jumped bail and returned to Dubai. Later, he was said to have called to explain that a civil case against him in Dubai was also pending and he needed to go there to answer the charges. He promised to return to Ghana within a week, but failed to do so. And all efforts by the police at the time, this was in 2014, to arrest him, have so far proven futile. According to the director of the Commercial Crimes Unit, Superintendent Felix Mausi, the police had enforced the bond on the 2 sureties, Mustafa Bande, and Joel Neti, and they would be put before court to produce the suspect. So these were the 2 sureties. So that's different from the Dennis Ejay Jumo that I'm mentioning.
So
yes,
Dennis
I just wanted to establish
was
that.
Lawyer for the sureties. And because Matthias went to Dubai to fight the matter there, because judgment had been entered against him and he wanted to set it aside in an appeal, the police went after the sureties. And the lawyer for the sureties was Dennis Ejay Jumo. But the lawyer for Alistair Matthias was then Kulendi JSC, now Justice of the Supreme Court of Ghana. And this Kulendi JSC is also, and in fact, let me put it on record that there is no criminality in a lawyer representing a suspect. No criminality. Every criminally accused person has a right to the best defense. He has a right to a lawyer of his choice. So lawyer Kulendi at the time did no wrong. But it is material. It's very material in drawing the connections because President Akufo-Addo is also on record to have said that he's proud of Justice Kulendi because he's one of his
proteges. But Dennis was working at Kulendi at law.
Yes. Exactly.
I just wanted
but he,
to
as a young lawyer, was representing the sureties, and Kulendi himself was representing Alistair Matthias. And President Akufo-Addo says Kulendi is another protege who he trained in his chamber. And if you read the statement of the Venerable Martin Amidu, very experienced lawyer on this matter, he explains that, you see, it is not out of place for a senior.
Did I hear you saying Martin Amidu is what?
Oh, law? In law, of course. Oh, please, senior, I beg you. But on law, legal matters, constitutional law, who doesn't know Martin Amidu's contribution to constitutional law? Senior, can I conclude? I beg you. I'm saying that, he's my senior at the bar, and when it comes to constitutional law, his contribution is invaluable. I might have raised issues with his credibility on other matters that is different from this. And I'm saying that Martin Amidu explains that it is not unusual for a senior lawyer to take a brief or a case and refer it to a junior lawyer, even in another chamber that he has confidence in. And under such circumstances, the layman client can view the senior lawyer who referred him to that young lawyer in another chamber as his main lawyer and can say so. So this matter, all we are calling for is investigation. Al Jazeera has done nothing wrong. What our friends in the NPP are displaying is hypocrisy of the highest order, obvious hypocrisy, because you know why. Once upon a time, there was an issue of Ford gifts. A gift of Ford, a Ford vehicle to President Mahama. As useless as that matter was, as Shraj later found, these are friends in the NPP. At the time, Titus Glover was in Parliament for the NPP. They record Parliament from recess just to come and investigate this matter.
So you want a national probe?
This international issue, which has brought the name of Ghana into disrepute, which you should be interested in ascertaining the truth. You are here saying that an investigation is not necessary. It's because you know that President Akufo-Addo will be exposed.
Let me bring you in now. That they want a national probe into this matter. So the gentleman says President Akufo-Addo was his lawyer. The president, in his letter to Al Jazeera, disputes, responds to that. That is not true, and no records of such a person or his company. He doesn't recollect. Or his chamber represented that.
I don't recollect.
Who should carry the burden of proof? I mean, reading this letter in a situation like this.
No, you see, let me get the context. Repeat, let me see.
So, this documentary captures this gentleman making these statements about the president being his lawyer and the contracts that he benefited from and so on. And the presidency's response to Al Jazeera also saying he doesn't recollect either he or his chamber representing this gentleman. Where or who carries the burden of proof?
The one who asserted it is Matthias. Matthias said the president is his lawyer, so he's the one who uttered it. So he carries his burden of proof.
So he has to prove beyond reasonable doubt that what he's saying is true.
When you use beyond reasonable, it's a technical term for us. So maybe prove convincingly.
Convincingly.
For the lay person, yes.
In the civil matter, it will be on the preponderance of probability.
But we don't want the technical term, so let's just use the normal language. So it's Matthias who has to prove. You see, Al Jazeera, for them, like you said, this is an investigative piece. So they got him. The man was talking freely, talking like a canary. And then now that he found that it's an investigative piece, he's seeking to retract. But it's too late in the day. So he's the one who made the statement, and so he has to prove. Maybe what we should be looking at is that Al Jazeera opening itself up to defamation. I'm not in a position to say that yes, because we should know this is a huge media entity. They know what they are doing. You see, the president's letter shows that they had asked them not to air it.
Yes, because they point to the element of verification and fact-checking,
so, but the point,
which is an element as well.
Leave that for Al Jazeera. Yes, leave that. We don't know what they've done or have done. But the main thing I'm saying is that, you see, the president sent a letter to them. Please don't do it. And they have looked at everything. And they went ahead. After, look at it again. Al Jazeera, big international media outlet. The president says, look, don't air these aspects concerning me. They sit back, look at all the facts, and say, we will do it. And they do it. Master, Charlie, don't underestimate them. Don't underestimate them. This is not a small media outlet. Don't underestimate them. They knew what they're doing, and they've done it. So, please, I'm sure the president and his advisors know what to do. But you see, it just still tells you that same tale That same thing, when corruption is hanging over your neck, okay? A cloud of corruption all over.
So this is the part
about
that the
Caesar's
president...
wife's test. Why should the president even put himself in a situation that raises corruption against him? Why? Why should President Akufo-Addo do that? When he was all over town here insulting everybody who came before him was corrupt. Everybody who came before him was corrupt. He insulted everybody. He is incorruptible. And now see, corruption is hanging all over him. Adoring.
So what?
Yes, please.
Let me give you some
breaking
news. Let me give you breaking news.
Yes.
The letter that Nana Asante Bediatu has written and has brandished over social media, and they are doing gaga. We've threatened Al Jazeera. We've given them 7 days. I just checked. The letter has not reached Doha.
Wow.
The letter has not even reached the Ghanaian team in Ghana here representing Al Jazeera. So they are just throwing their weight about.
They have not.
They are just throwing their weight about.
They have not.
Nothing in it.
They have not. In fact, the last part of the letter says, please confirm receipt of this letter and your intention to take the necessary action as requested.
They have not even sent the letters. It hasn't got
the request they were making...
A gimmick to deceive Ghanaians that the president is angry with Al Jazeera. Can you intimidate Al Jazeera?
Lawyer, the request they were making was
Al Jazeera or
that certain parts of the documentary that they earlier stated made, and this is in part of the letter, parts of the documentary that are malicious, defamatory, and a calculated attempt to tarnish the reputation of the president and the government of Ghana. This is in that green letter that Sami, you checked, you said that Al Jazeera's representatives here in Ghana says they have not received...
Yes, and the headquarters in Doha. Their number, Google Al Jazeera, their telephone number is there. Your media has called them. I am Alfredo Kansi calling from Media General in Ghana. Our president has sent a letter to you threatening you, giving you an ultimatum of 7 days to retract your Gold Mafia documentary as it relates to him. Have you received the letter? The answer would be no.
Yeah, so that is
it's not for you alone. I want him to finish for him to advance.
Yeah, it's good he made that. So look, Mr. Kansi, so it tells you that looking at the way this is just a gimmick to just, divert attention and to tell us that President Akufo-Addo is angry. Meanwhile, there isn't much substance to it. So the test we are using here is Caesar's wife's test. Why would the president put himself in a situation that raises so much suspicion around him? Suspicion of corruption all over. Why would the president put himself in that position? So when you are using Caesar's wife's test, it means that the president has to resign. You see how Caesar, divorced his wife. When the wife put herself in a situation that raised suspicion of adultery. So President Akufo-Addo just has to go because he's caused us too much embarrassment. Too much. This is a man who held so much promise. We all thought we were going to be liberated. The Messiah had come. He's turned out to be the worst. Oh.
We'll go for a quick break. We have to go for a quick break.
They don't want to hear.
we have to go for a quick break. When we are back, we'll round up on this conversation. There's an issue I need to take your opinion on quickly before we round up the show. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
So who will it be? Who will be going to Dubai with me?
Me. Babe, think about all the fun we'll have if you pick me.
I am your father, your school fees payer. You must obey. But Chaliki, you know they be bros before all those.
Who would you choose?
Your favorite milk is taking you and a special someone to Dubai in the ideal Sochi to Dubai promo. Just peel, text, and you could win this and other exciting prizes. This advert is FDA approved.
Nestle, good food, good life.
OneXBet, reliable bookmaker with high odds, wide selection on events, and bonuses for every taste. OneXBet, easy use, easy win.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet responsibly, not for persons below 18 years.
Abrantie me hu from so bia won ho. I see who. Sa abrantie we o ka kire nkrofo ni say me mo bia anto home appliance e wo so bia keke. Na o sa kwa so ajenkwa ohene sasai kan ni importem ni na odini nchesha dada manfo ase o madu poto. Mewi na mesi ya ka kwa ko ke ho se na wa se ho iti wahimie wahifa
asasi anyone did do nyina ya mini meja dia na mo ha se me mo nipa hunu ne ye na ye papa
ne na ye papa
ani so nipa beto ni home appliances nyina wo kafam esa se woni wonye mim so fa so pe istay kafam sorte atete woni ema no so akodu 65%.
TV kese pa no boy se
nso amma sorte o
ya TV kese wa hifia
oni ha
yeah abrantie me bisamu a obi antimi ka kire me de ntie se me kuno ensam o kan susu to asum afi wei ye de Yesu hu be che no if so kan sempa afi foforo no ye ba dwe maka famfo enso to
oni ha hello kafam uma sorte Ponto Pilato mame
digital Zacchaeus Michelle Kofaka from TV kese no brem
Krachi ma honya ha
Kafam assorted Easter promo up to 65% off.
Welcome back. This is Key Point. We are live on 3FM 92.7, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. To establish the claims in here, Mr. Nikwak Titus Glover, would the a call for the national probe be one that you will support, or a dismissal of these claims, as has been the position so far, as communicated by the presidency at least?
Sitting here, and in a flash, I heard my brother Sammy saying that this time Tiamido is a good man.
No, I said
and
constitutional lawyer.
Please. Somebody you have described so negatively some time past, with all kinds, because I was in Parliament when we vetted him, when he was put to straight proof of the kind of things that he said against JDM, and my colleagues Okujato, Ayariga, Haruna Drisu were put him to straight test. You call him all kinds of names, but today, hallelujah, you have changed your mouth. To God be the glory. Somebody is saying that the letter that Asante Beditu wrote to Al Jazeera, it's a what? Has not reached. And for that matter, we are only throwing dust into the eyes.
He makes reference to
dust, what they call throwing dust into the eyes of the people. This is a serious business. Somebody, a fugitive, right, has said something against the president. And his lawyer and his secretary has written, because they are not going to chase for his what they call it, those who went to bail him. Is that the case?
2014. That has been concluded.
It has been concluded.
Yeah, he actually won the case in Dubai.
Okay.
And got a judgment.
But he still wanted in Ghana.
No. The matter has been concluded.
Yeah, then I withdraw the word fugitive. So for Sami to say that the letter that Mr. Beditu wrote to Al Jazeera, if in the transmission it has not been received, it's a matter of time. We are here, and I'm sure they will respond to it appropriately. And he said he has a problem with the word the president used, that he doesn't remember, he doesn't recollect, and for that matter, that is what? An admission that the president is corrupt. Oh, Sami?
Oh, did I say that?
No, that is inference. That's what you're saying. The fact that the president said he cannot recollect, or whether his legal firm handled him, So that indicts the president that he has corrupted himself.
Mean that it is
please,
true.
Sammy. People are watching us because I know the way you twist your tongue, the way you can do your propaganda and destroy. The fact that the president said, look, I cannot recollect. And if for 20 times, when you read the letter signed by Mr. Bedier too, he said, look, the president has not been acting in private capacity from 2000, and that is a fact. He was an attorney general for 2001 to January 7, 2009. But in his private capacity...
Foreign minister after 4 years.
Fine. Yeah. He's saying that as a private lawyer in practice, he has not. Can you remember everything? You cannot. So if he's saying, look, I cannot recollect representing him, if he has not been to court, fine, like you are saying, but engage him in some legal advice or something he cannot remember, I don't think you need to fault him here. Look, at the time when he was not in his private practice, there are lawyers who are there. Lawyer Kotoampao, your senior, were there. Lawyer Kwede and Co were there. So they can furnish him with all those information. And the man said, I don't recollect. Not even my firm. And Sammy want us to believe and admit that because the president said he cannot recollect this, and for that matter, he should be indicted for being corrupt. With all due respect. With all due respect. Let us be very measured. Sometimes the way we go around some of these things, because it is not helpful. It is not helpful at all. Then again, as to the president saying that he trained Akoto, what do you call it, Governor Daming, when he passed at the year 2003. The firm is there. The fact that personally he was not in the chambers to be going to court to practice, there are senior lawyers who are there. So if they are handling him in the training, it's by inference. You want to say that, yes, Akufo-Addo, I am proud to be part of the training of Godfrey Yeboah Dami. So please, this matter as it stands, I have full confidence and believe in the president. Now he's saying that, look, if like Lawyer Kwebu said, the burden of proof is on Matthias to tell us exactly what matter he took before President Akufo-Addo for him to advise him or to handle that matter, the legal matter for him. Is that not the case? It's very essential. The time is very important. The very matter that he took to President Akufo-Addo when he has described him in the Al Jazeera matter, he should let us know. Okay. Again, the president is also saying that you said I assisted you to get some deals. $100 million worth of contract. The date of the tendering, the type of tendering that was done, and let us all know all these things. Then we can be in the position to respond to your query that you've given to the president. What is wrong about this? If the lawyer of the president is asking Al Jazeera to furnish him with this information, and Sammy Jefi, you have a problem, and Lawyer Kwebu, and since you are winding up, let me once again take this opportunity to apologize to Lawyer Martin Kwebu in the early beginning of my submission. I think that I went overboard. It is because the way he touched my adrenaline to attack the president that he has stolen, that really caused me to respond the way.
You don't know what Joe Mahama went through in the hands of Nana B, Samira Bawumia.
Stop it. Okay. That has not been my style. Right. But the viewers should forgive me. And also,
that's great.
And then I'm sorry for
because he's sitting far from you. Let me take a handshake for him on his behalf.
Thank you.
But
thank you very
give me
much.
1 minute to do my
lawyer Martin Kwebu. Thank you very much.
Just 1 minute.
Sammy Jemfi.
Lawyer
Martin Kwebu is.
Are you closing?
Yes, is a leader of one of three individuals.
I was going to just. So you gave him all the time for the matter. Can I get just 1 minute?
Thank you.
No, I can make the point.
What have you said?
1 minute.
What have you said?
I am ending on a very good note.
Oh, just 1 minute.
What has happened?
1 minute.
I'm ending on a good note. Thank you, Sammy Jemfi. Is the National Communications Officer of the NDC. Sammy, I thank you.
It was on 2nd April.
He
replied on 11th April.
And then also
he had 9 days to cross-check that fact, whether or not he had been lawyer for Alista. He said he could not recollect.
Appreciate it. And then also to reiterate at the earlier point, apologies for the earlier verbal altercation. I am Alfredo Conce.
Take it from the website, please.
Have a great weekend. Okay.
This program is rated U. It contains no